Okay, so looks like we are live. Not sure if the quality is coming out well. Oh, there we go. There we go with the echo. And that's actually one of the reasons why we're doing this test today. You know, we've had a lot of issues in the past as far as the quality of the streams and that kind of a thing. And want to make sure that every time we broadcast the Real Estate Plate radio show, not only do you have a great quality stream on the AM and FM platforms, which we broadcast live every Monday, 6 to 7. If you don't know us, please make sure to dial in either 1240 AM or 95.9 FM. And you'll be able to get us as you're driving back in your rush hour, you know, every Monday night. But we also want to make sure that we are able to record things in the best way and stream them, give you an opportunity to be able to podcast in the future and possibly get a good experience out of it, not a really choppy, bad type of situation. So I'm actually right now using Zoom to work off this platform. What it does, it basically records through Zoom or processes through Zoom and broadcasts it over to YouTube. Now, there was a scenario where we were able to possibly do that and Mike and Facebook for some, and that was the key reason why I opted to get the paid premium service through Zoom to be able to do Facebook Live and YouTube simultaneously. However, for some reason, Facebook does not want to cooperate with us. I'm not exactly sure why this is the case. It's very odd. Really, really odd. I'm not sure what the case is. And I would love to hear some feedback from anybody that's watching as far as what your experience is if you're using Zoom. I'm really considering right now using StreamYard. I played around with it a little bit in the past and seems to be a really decent platform. I don't know if I want to experiment with StreamYard on the radio show. Maybe we'll just do some type of platforms in the, I don't know. Well, maybe we'll do some test runs from the office and that kind of thing. I'm not sure. I'm thinking out loud right now. I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep this stream up after I'm done, or I'm just going to put it on a list of private or delete it. Like I said, this is a test run that we're doing and just making sure that this is the case. Hey, Matthew, how you doing? I think it is the way to go. I'm really contemplating that. I think this quite possibly might be the only way to be able to go to, you know, because Zoom is as nice as Zoom is, and honestly, Zoom is a very good platform. It really is. I can't fight the platform. However, it's not necessarily working out right for me. You know, the thing that I like a lot about it is the stream quality is great. It doesn't get broken very easily. And beyond that, we're having a situation where you could get up to 100 people on with the middle service that they offer. So we're trying to keep it, this is a channel that I don't ask anybody for any funds or anything. I'm trying to do the best I can to self-fund everything. And due to that reason, I am doing my very best to keeping the cost low on it. I don't mind paying a previous service as long as it's actually something that is viable. Now, one of the things that we've been doing of late through the various streams that we've been doing on the real estate plate is we've been actually offering everybody the opportunity to see. That's another thing that's really weird about StreamYard and Zoom. Zoom won't give me my chat options. Like, I'm looking right now into the Zoom meeting opening, and it's not giving me the same options that you get on the stream. So that's really, that's irritating. Right now, I just saw that Matthew, hello, my friend, chatted here as well. And for some reason, it is not going through onto the Zoom platform. It's really odd, really, really, really odd. So what I was saying just now is I've been giving actually everybody the opportunity during the live radio show to be able to hop on and give their 2 cents and that kind of thing. And I've been putting in the link right into the chat and keep it interactive. So we'll still keep taking the phone calls to the radio show, but we'll also put it out there where somebody, if they want to actually have their face seen, or it's easier for them to actually just jump onto the stream and participate, to be able to do it that way. So we're on there. Matthew, if you're on and you want to hop on and just, chat for a little bit, give your 2 cents. Doesn't have to be all about eviction moratorium, but I wouldn't mind talking about that as well, because that's going to be the topic tomorrow. See, that's the thing. You could post the questions through StreamYard, and it doesn't. You don't have that option, or I don't believe I have that option through Zoom, which is a little irritating, to be quite honest with you. And I don't understand why it's doing that. I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet. I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet and actually switch platforms completely. Matthew, you can't look like worse of a mess than I do. I can assure you that. I could assure you that. Look at me. Sitting over here, I'm disshuffled a little bit because you can't see what's going on behind me, but right now we're reorganizing my new office, and it's pretty chaotic. And I'm going to give everybody a tour of the office after I'm done at least getting it in somewhat of a presentable fashion. I don't know if people know what we're doing here at the company, but I'm in the process of relocating my office. So I'll still have a satellite office over in Syosset. Most of the residential business that we're going to be doing is going to continue going through there. However, I'm running the commercial department. I'm the director of the commercial department for Cole Banker right now here on Long Island and the New York City metro area. So we decided to set up a different setup. Let's see. Click on the link. There we go. So now I can see Matthew. I'm going to admit Matthew. Hello, Matthew. Can you hear me? Matthew, are you there?
I am here, my friend. Yes,
How you doing, Matthew? It's been a long time.
I know. I'm gonna get out of the YouTube one and oh, yeah, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, let me see what the hell happened here.
I don't know. That's why I'm doing this test stream right now. Just
There we go.
to get some of these glitches out. There's been so many. Oh, there you go.
There we go, my friend.
Look at you.
I'm
Look at
sitting in my den. I do a lot of my paperwork in my den. So I'm sitting here. It's great. I had the fireplace going. It's fantastic. So I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I'm not really meant for who the hell cares, right?
Well, as you can see, I'm pretty casual myself. I'm wearing it almost looks like a picnic blanket that I'm wearing over my.
Well, it's Sunday. What the hell, you know?
Yeah, and I figured I should keep it casual. I'm just trying to get some stuff done here in the office and practice a couple of test streams right now. That's the reason I did this right now. So I'm happy that you were actually watching and I could actually test an actual person on here to see how this is working out. But I think you're right. You've been telling me for a long time StreamYard is the way to go. And
I love it.
I've been bullish to try to keep this Zoom platform going because I like the quality of the Zoom stream. It's pretty seamless. It's clear. Like right now I'm on 1080k IP. What is it called? 1080 IP or P?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And it's coming out the way it should be without any jerkiness. StreamYard, if you go past 720, it starts getting jerky.
But I tell you, I have not seen any of that because I watch a lot of the StreamYard tutorials and I watch a lot of that stuff on YouTube. I need to do more live shows myself. It's just a matter of picking a date and time and staying consistent. That's the problem that I think we all have, is staying consistent. And then once you do that, people watch more and more and more. But I love StreamYard. I mean, you can put both people up, you can have up to 8, 10 people on the screen at the same time, which I don't agree with that. When you have that many, you end up with confusion.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that Zoom offers that StreamYard doesn't. You can put up to 100 people on Zoom, and if you really wanted to get insane, you could go up to 1,000 if you get that like super premium package that they have.
Yeah. I mean, who wants that? When you have with StreamYard, on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see comments. So if I was to comment, you can click on that and put it right on the screen. You can have a ticker at the bottom to subscribe to your channel or any message you want to give out. If you have different topics that you want to discuss, you can have an overlay, get the overlay, like Eviction Moratorium in New York, or how much money do your tenants owe? And that will grab people to answer questions. We usually have, when we've done the shows, around 25 at the least amount of people watching at any one time. We've had up to 40 and 50 at one time watching. But one thing that they do say, Nick, when you do the StreamYard shows, more people will watch in rerun than they will live.
That happens with all the streams, though.
Right. But on that StreamYard, I'm going to go and do a live show because there's so much crap happening in New York now, as you well know, that if I do that, because I've had other ones, I did a 4-hour show with Vitali back in September, and I pay every month to do it. It's like $20 a month I pay. And I got to do it more. And I enjoy it once you get it on there. And you also, I have a stream deck. And the stream deck allows you to professionalize your scene even more. You can do, instead of hunting around the keyboard, you just hit one key. You can switch camera angles. You can do effects. You can have backgrounds. It is so much more professional looking. I don't know, Marie. I know you and I did Marie's show. I don't know if she was on StreamYard when we did
her. I don't know what she was using, but there were definitely some glitches going on with what she was using.
Yeah, there was. If you remember her, some water fountain that she had on the table was like running behind her from China Closet.
I think she was using something Be Live or something like that.
It wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And I think when your show looks more professional, I think more people will listen. I'm not saying that with you, I, or her, but I've seen shows out there and I'm like, the moment they start, I'm out of here. The lighting is bad, the audio is bad, the background is bad. And, but
Well,
I digress.
the
Go
good
ahead.
thing about the good thing about what you and I do is based more on the quality of what we're trying to provide in the word that we're trying to spread for the community, more than the actual video production. Because if it was the video production, I think both you and I would hire an 18-year-old to start getting all fancy with the
Yeah.
graphics and everything like that. But you know what? If I was actually getting paid all my rents, I might be able to afford to actually hire another person and give another job out there.
Yes.
Uh,
You know, when you mentioned that, Nick, I contacted, excuse me, I contacted LRAP earlier this week. And I just went and checked the status. I knew it was too early to find out whether I was getting anything. And they could not find my application. And I gave them the application number. They told me that you had to register and then apply. When they put me to the registration page, I said, I did that already with my W-9. And then I lashed out at the person on the phone. I said, why do you, blah, 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 would you not have the registration and the application be one? Why do you have to register yourself and then fill out the application separately? Why wouldn't you have it as one? I mean, the common sense is
well, you know the answer
lost.
to that. You know the answer to that. It's
Oh yeah.
basically ass backwards. The way a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with is,
Oh,
you
very
know,
much. My tenants, I got a judgment against the one for $14,000 in back rent, which in our area is considerable. I know in New York City, Long Island, the boroughs, it's not, but in this area, it is. And the guy wants, I don't know if I'll get any money from LRAP. I have to go to an agency. And when the woman from LRAP told me about the agencies, I said, well, I gave her the phone number to the one. When before she gave it to me, I said, they do ERAP, they don't do LRAP. She gave me the Legal Aid Society. I said, I want to legal aid, but in court, I'm with the landlord, legal aid is with the tenant. I don't really want to, I don't want to do that with legal aid. So I have to go to another organization and have them help me to make sure that I did it the right way so I can get at least $12,000 on what they owe me. And then there's a new program coming out that I'm going to do a show on or a video on, is the mortgage assistance program that the state has. Yeah, I know this is not what the topic is today, but I went over
you know
that.
what? It's always the topic for me. You know,
Me too, my friend. Me too. It is a nightmare, the process to go through to get this mortgage assistance. I myself have said, I don't want any of these programs, ERAP, LRAP, mortgage assistance, the stimulus monies. All they're creating is the inflation that we have today. And people are not going to work. People are sitting back. People demanding $20 an hour when they should be getting minimum wage. I mean, look at it. Inflation is at a 40-year high. We're dying. Like you said, yeah. Like you said, yeah. My YouTube studio, I'm sitting in my 3,500 square foot home. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom home with 18-foot ceilings. I have 2 other rooms I can make into bedrooms, but I don't want to do that. I want to turn one of them into my YouTube studio. It's an unfinished room.
smart idea.
So, yeah, but what the problem is, Nick, is I'm operating from my china closet room. You walk through the kitchen, through the china closet room, and into the dining room. I have my YouTube studio set up there. Right now, I'm in my den, off the dining room, enjoying it here. But point is, like you mentioned, Nick, if these tenants and the government and the tenants paid us and the government stopped doing what they're doing to us, we would have the money. Because my income is down by $70,000, $80,000 since COVID. I would do that room just like that. And my studio would
How
be
many
permanently
jobs are
set.
they holding back? You know, they're talking about how people are, and I've said this from day one. If we have people that are truly unemployed and they're really in bad shape, we need to work with each other and figure out a way to be able to not throw them out on the street and work with whatever the government's offered.
Mhm.
The problem is we have so many other situations where are not reflected, that are not reflected to people being unemployed, or people actually have savings and they're able to, they would be able to pay off, but they're not. It's okay for the landlord and the housing provider to deplete every last cent of savings
Yeah.
to be able to sustain, or it's okay for them to basically go and put themselves into debt or further debt in order to keep the facility going or the housing going, to basically make sure that these people are not going to be frozen or put in a really bad environment.
Yeah,
You know,
we
so
just had, I shared on social media last week, and I'm going to do another one on Facebook. I shared a post. My office served a tenant the other day around 8:15 at night. They owe close to $17,000 in rent. She has been evicted from her last three, now her last four locations.
I saw that.
Yeah, four. And now another one I'm putting up. Yeah, another one I'm putting up. We served a tenant the other night, the same night. The tenant had $11,000 of her back rent paid, a year's worth of her back rent paid through ERAP. She now owes October, November, December. She received the eviction notice, the 14-day notice she received, and gave me an attitude. So, the landlord just got $11,000. What's his problem? And then it clicked in my head. I said, so no, ERAP paid. I told her nurse that. So ERAP paid the 11,000, but now that they stopped paying, you're not obligated to pay the rest. 3 adults in the house said, we're not working. So now they owe another $2,700, $900 a month.
See how fast it adds up?
Yeah, it's $900 a month. So now it's 3 months that they owe. They had 12 months paid by the government, 3 adults not working. That is the kind of stuff that I tell people at my office puts me into such a rage and anger. I'm always in that mood. I don't take that out on my staff or my landlords, but I get that so built up inside. You had that $17,000, $11,000 paid by the government. If you look at the one with Mario, the one with the dentist that he has, I didn't even follow that one. Mario just got $50,000 from ERAP. The wife or the husband is retired, getting a pension, and the wife is a dentist. So she's making money. She probably didn't get that payment protection PPP money on top of it. So I can't presume, but let's just say she did. So she got that money. Husband's got a pension. She's working, and the government paid taxpayers paid $50,000. Yeah.
Let's be honest. Let's be completely honest. This how I don't know. It's sick, this system, because we have a scenario where we're not getting paid, but they're taking our money to subsidize people that are still not paying us.
Yes.
It's a twisted type of cycle that's happening right now. There's extreme situation. I got a couple of myself that I'm dealing with that are, when I'm saying extreme, I have a situation with a tenant that even 3 years prior to this whole COVID lockdown situation that we've had, I've been trying to get out of the apartment. A whole bunch of different, I could write a book on this person in particular, but basically the mother had the apartment with the husband. They divorced. The daughter, who's an adult, ended up keeping the place, not telling anybody, stopped paying, stayed in there. It was a stabilized apartment. And not only did they stop playing, they started destroying the place. They started going on the roof and smoking drugs and causing disruptions with the other tenants. The person put a stripper pole in the middle of the apartment. All kinds of different individuals are coming in and out of the building. We can't prove what type of business is going on in there, but everybody has a really good idea of what's happening. She also has a little child that is not a really good scenario to be in there. The boyfriend's coming in has had mutual conflicts with the super. We lost our old super because of that situation. Now the other one, they're keeping distance from each other, and we have cameras in the halls. But this is another thing I tell everybody: if you have the capability and the finances to be able to have a camera system, at least in all the public places in your buildings, do so, because even though they're not going to justify anything, at least you have proof that if there was ever any conflict or any a direct face-to-face confrontation and they're saying one thing or the other, at least you have that proof that, because one person saying they attacked each other, the other, well, we had the proof that the super was being attacked and he didn't attack it. But regardless, we're talking about serious money that has been held back. The rent is supposed to be around $1,200 a month. So you start doing the math. 3 years prior, we don't have the math. We haven't gotten paid for it because we've been trying to get this person. They apply for social services. They did a one-shot thing. We had to settle. It was settled. They ended up giving us $8,000 where they owed us $20,000, and it just keeps going over and over again. Now, since these past 2 years, we haven't gotten a thing from them. We've been frozen as far as being able to take any kind of movement against them, and at the same time, social services has now stepped in and adding their 2 cents as far as the child's wellness.
Well-being, yeah.
So it's bad. It's bad. Like that's one of our extreme situations. I got a ton of them as far as those kind of scenarios that we're dealing with. So who's gonna make up for all the difference on that? Or how about the people that I had to pay off? Because we had quite a few of those. I had to give 5, 10 grand, 20 grand to get the hell out of the apartment because I
hate
knew
that cash for keys. I hate it. But it's
well, think of it like
a
this.
necessity. Yeah.
Well, think of it like this. A couple of those people, thank God I did that at the early stages. Because little did I know there was going to be another year and a half of these quarantines and lockdowns or eviction moratoriums, whatever you want to call them, until that happened. So we were going to get deeper and deeper into the mix, and these people, you try to work with them, try to help them apply for whatever they need to apply, and they're not applying. That's the other problem. They're just waiting for pass through the whole system. And when the day comes where they're actually going to see people starting to get evicted, they're going to hand over the keys and get the hell out.
We had, I work, I am connections at our city hall, obviously, and I can't say a name or department, but I have learned that the local municipal housing authority, through Section 8, it's non-voucher housing, they've got quite a few areas in Schenectady. The Code Enforcement Department at City Hall has received well over 200 complaints from tenants complaining about the condition of where they live. Well, MHA is called Municipal Housing. MHA has their own staff that does all the repairs, does all of that. They were actually told by the city of Schenectady to contact them. What we're getting and what you're seeing here, Nicholas, is that they had no issues on how it looked when they lived there. But now that they know that the clock is ticking away and hitting that bell tolls 1, that they're getting the hell out, now they're contacting code and complaining about where they're living, code violations and all of this to try to stall the evictions even more. It's unbelievable what government is doing to all of us. And they really believe that we think it's okay, that we don't care. And you know what, Nick, I think you can agree with me. And I know you'll agree with me, is that I think the biggest problem that we have is landlord apathy. The landlords are not complaining, or they're doing it only on social media amongst themselves. They're preaching to their own choir. They're not acting. They don't send out emails. They don't send out anything. We had a landlord who, about maybe once every 2 weeks, we'll have a landlord call and tell us that they want to do a 3-day notice on their tenant for non-payment of rent. 3 days. They didn't even know. We had one when Hochul got into office about 3 weeks into her reign as royalty in New York. The landlord said, that Cuomo's got to go. I said, he's been out of office now for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I will yell at landlords. I've been known to yell, literally yell. I'm like, when are you going to do something? Why are you always coming in here bitching and complaining about what's happening to you? When was the last time you talked to the governor? When was the last time you sent emails to the legislature? When? Oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, tenants are vocal. That's Cia Weaver from Housing Justice for All in New York. I can't stand that woman. I wanted to debate her the worst way. Do you know who I'm talking about? Cia Weaver?
Yes,
I wanted to
unfortunately.
debate her next, she won't debate me. I know she won't. want to, but she won't. It's people like her that are so vocal and so active. Brian Kavanaugh, I watched the government, the governor's.
He's full of crap.
Yeah, I watched the governor's press conference yesterday, Friday. Well, she passed that new. I gotta do research on that one. That new voucher program for the city, and Brian's. I mean, he hates us landlords. I attended a Zoom meeting with Spotty, small property owners in New York.
You just said something. I don't want to cut you off.
No, please.
But you said that he hates landlords. Why do people hate landlords so much? I don't understand that psychology. I don't understand that. Like, there's this venom, this toxicity that's going straight to landlords when it's no different than any other service that you're paying for or being provided in the life. But do you hate the water department? Do you hate the agriculture sector, the ones that provide you food every day? Do you hate them because they charge you for food? Why is the venom all going to the housing and nothing else? If you're going to spew venom and you're going to be toxic towards anybody, it's the lawmakers and the government that provides the system the way it is. If you don't like the way it is, they're the ones you have to go after, not the people that are providing. Like, you purchased your properties. I purchased my properties. We all, one way or the other, some people inherited, okay, but their parents had to work to get that. Somebody had to work hard to earn the money to be able to purchase these places. So they put everything in there. Does somebody go into somebody else's IRA or to somebody's stock portfolio and say, well, you know what, you're doing really, really well, and you haven't done a thing to deserve that because it's doing it by itself. And that's completely different from what we do. We actually have to take the calls 4 o'clock in the morning because of the clogged toilet, and we have to go there and get yelled at and get things thrown out from the windows when we're trying to collect our rents and that kind of thing. It's a different situation, but nobody goes into somebody's stock portfolio and says, well, you know what, you didn't earn that. You don't deserve it.
Yeah. The other thing that they use against us, and yet you're right, they look at it as passive income. To some of us, it could be, but it's not as passive as they think it is. And then they also look at the fact that we're making a profit off of somebody's necessity. Okay, well, like you just said, when you go into a grocery store, they're making a profit off of me. So why are they not demonized as we are? Because we're making a profit off on their housing and their labor. And when I hear that argument, that we are making a profit off of what they have to do, I tell them, well, what do you think your employer is doing? Your employer is making a profit off of your labor. Capitalism is profit. All of us, every single day. When people say, they hate capitalism or whatever, I'm not going to stop the Starbucks, stop the fancy shoes and the fancy cell phones, stop all that BS, because you are contributing to that type of government that you admonish, you hate us. I agree, Nick, and this is something that I'm seeing so much, and it irritates me.
And you know what? They talk about the rents skyrocketing, and I agree. They're flying. They're going up.
They need
but
to be.
If our costs were lower, just by basic economics, they would be lower to start with. If we're paying property taxes on a building, on a 6-family building of $100,000, that you're paying $80,000 to $100,000 on a 6-family building in just property taxes alone. How is it possible for us to turn around and give you rent for $1,000 a month? How is that possible? And that's just the property tax. We're not talking utilities. We're not talking about water. Forget about what. I got my issues with DEP down here. I don't know how it is over there, but they're charging us through the nose for water and sewer over here. I don't know.
And the tenants who know that will blast the water. We had one in Colony, New York, which is a hamlet, not a little one, but in Albany. And the landlord had a pool on the property. He told the tenants, no, you can't use the pool. No, you're not using the pool. The tenants used the pool anyway. They filled up the water. He paid the heat bill to keep the pool heated. He had to pay for the water. And the landlord or the tenant wasn't even allowed. He hadn't even paid to have the pool closed because the tenant wouldn't do it. So the tenant and the landlord has to pay for that. And these are the things that the government doesn't see. They just see us as greedy mongers who have got tons of money at our disposal. They have said, and I've said this right along too, they've asked us to borrow money if we got to pay our taxes and pay for the repairs and all of that to the property. And one of the things I said on social media from the very beginning, is I said, remember this, tenants, and remember this, people. And it's the tenant that owns the landlord, not the landlord that owns the tenant.
That's the thing. Everybody has twisted. Here's the thing. Accountability is out the window. The only ones that are being held accountable are we are.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not taking away, because my heart goes out to all the small businesses, especially still in the city right now, that are being crushed, because there's a lot of more there's a lot of stuff still going on as far as their restriction of being able to operate and conduct their business and everything like that. So
I heard they're putting commercial landlords could not go after their tenants for back rent. I heard that in New York City.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, did I really read that?
There's a little bit of going back and forth, because it's not as blatant as it is in the residential market. You have a lot of businesses that want to pay their rent because they want to work, and they just can't operate. When you have a restaurant and you're not allowed to allow everybody still into the place, you're still not running at full occupancy. Like you're still running minimal, and those are restrictions that are being put on from somewhere else. They're not being put on by the tenant themselves. And there's been a lot of people that they're doing what they can, because I've been restructuring a lot of leasing down here for a few landlords and trying to work out, either backloaded or try to work out a differential of how to spread out the back rent. Some people, let's say it's a $5,000 lease that they're paying for a month for a retail space. They might have been paying $3,000, $4,000, whatever they can every month, and then that other amount. Some landlords are really being good as far as like waiving some money. Other ones said, listen, I can't afford to waive it, but we'll spread it out, or you'll pay towards the end, or we'll extend your lease. We're getting as creative as possible to try to work these things out. But what's happening is these businesses, they're working on borrowed time. They're getting this PPP money. They're getting these loans. These are all loans. There's no guarantee that they're going to be waived. They're saying that some of this money is going to be waived down the line, but there's no guarantee. How are you going to waive all this money?
Yes. We saw people here with PPP. You can punch in the zip code and see who gets it. And we've seen businesses here in the capital region who have received money, tons and tons of money that I know full well they did not lose that kind of revenue during the shutdown. We know one who has a bakery, a small little bakery, small. It's been in business a couple of years. She got over $200,000. And it's a bakery that helps people with disabilities, so they get tax subsidies there. We know full well that she did not lose $200,000 in revenue in a year. And we've seen doctors' offices that have done it. I've seen construction companies that got this PPP money, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. And it's like, that's a crazy amount of money. They never lost that kind of money. And like you said, Nick, restructuring the lease to where the landlord might get enough, or should get enough just to pay their expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And then, granted, the tenant will now know that the rest of it is profit, but welcome to the world of business. They do the same thing. And they're selling the sandwich that they're paying $1 for, they're selling it for $10. Then they're doing the same thing to their customer as we are doing to our tenants. We're here to make a profit off of you. But to see that, go ahead, Nick.
Well, the point I want to make, and I want, just in case anybody listens on the replay, I want to make sure that people understand that I'm not really advocating hard for the small businesses or for the landlords when it comes to the city situation that they're dealing. I feel equally bad for both sides because they're being squeezed. And are there people that are taking advantage of the system? Absolutely. But it's not as blatant. It's not as wide spanning as it is from the residential sector.
Oh, residential, my God, they're having a great time. I have said on it on social media, and I'll say it, and I have not yet found anybody daring enough to challenge me yet on this statement. I have said COVID-19 has been the best friend tenants have ever had. And it is. It's their best friend. We have people that are signing this declaration of hardship and they're walking out of court like a kid walking into a candy store.
Yes and no, because what's happening here in New York is not necessarily happening everywhere. It's the best friend. The best friend to the tenants are the Cuomos, the de Blasio's, all the politicians that were in place at that time. They were their best friends, because in other states, even though they had their own type of restrictions and there was a blanket national eviction moratorium, they handled it in a different way. They were still allowing tenants to be evicted under other conditions. So if somebody is a maniac, just like the one that was in Brooklyn that threw the toolbox on the guy, and he lived in the same building with them, and still had to live with them and couldn't evict the guy, and then end up having to pay the guy off to leave from his own house while he was still living there. That's the kind of stuff that wasn't flying over in other states. It wasn't flying in Florida. It wasn't flying in Texas. And I'm not even going to make it a red, blue, whatever the case is. I don't like any politicians. I'll be really honest with you.
I'm in politics yet, but I still like it. You better still like me. I'm in politics in my area, so.
Well, you know what? You're too small to get as corrupted as the big guys.
Yeah.
At least, so stay small so you don't get corrupted. Because once they all get up to a certain point, it gets dirty.
Yeah.
Rich Tyson, I'm sure you know him as well. He tries to get involved as much as possible as well. And I know a few locals that they're good. They're generally good guys. But when it comes to these guys, the lifelong career politicians, I'll call them, they never work the private sector. They don't have any understanding of how it is to live in real life.
Yes.
And they're sitting dictating the laws and telling us what to do. I'll take them all, put them in a big pot, and just melt them all together and start all over again. Because right now, I don't care what affiliation, if you are red, blue, black, green, I don't care what you are. You're not helping the situation. And then we saw this from the up aboves, from our entire platform. They were not helping us.
No, I watched on September 1st when they were voting on this new moratorium. I was on this computer from around 9 in the morning until almost 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, just watching the debates and reading the news stories. And then I'm watching them. And Jeff, what the hell is his name? The assemblyman from the Bronx, Jeff Dubowitz.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Dubowitz was there, and he actually took a beating from the Republican members of the assembly, asking them questions about it. And I'm watching the screen and I'm screaming more and more at him. He had mentioned how, like they said about the money, well, the landlords will get a judgment later on, and they will be able to, to pay their bills. And you are such an idiot, Dubowitz. You are such a, landlords aren't going to collect this money from their tenants. You know what I was going to say next, and I'm going to put this to a video too, is that with this ERAP and LRAP money that's out there, which
doesn't exist anymore, by the way.
Yeah.
As you pointed out in your last video, it doesn't. There's no more money left.
That's right.
So these people, I got multiple people that are still applying right now. They're not going to get any money.
No, you know what they did? It's legally new. They had heard it through the grapevine on the wind that ERAP was going to shut down a few weeks before it did. So they were funneling people in to fill out the application just to stop the eviction. And even now they're still talking about it in court. Well, how about ERAP, LRAP? What I'd like to see is here's the tenants not responsible for any of this debt. How about like when you go on a game show and you win a brand new car, you as the winner who won the car had to pay the taxes. How about we make the tenants at least financially responsible to pay the taxes on the money that ERAP and LRAP was paid us? I mean, we have to pay everything. And then the biggest thing that kills me with ERAP, LRAP is the protection.
With another trigger point, by the way, with the taxes. Why are we still paying property taxes?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're not
Well,
getting any income, how are we paying, or why are we paying full property taxes? We should have reduced property taxes at the same percentage of what we're taking off as a income loss due to their laws,
Yeah.
not because of bad business practices. That's the other thing that makes me go bonkers. You know, they're making it out to sound, well, you're not running your business right. You're not you. Well, how much are you supposed to have in savings? How much is a backup is appropriate? The person that just bought a building 2 months right before this moratorium had didn't even get a chance. Didn't even get a chance to properly put everything into play. Or maybe they just put their tenants in and haven't gotten 1 month rent yet, other than the initial deposit, and then all of a sudden got no rent out of it. How are they supposed to survive?
Yes.
You know how it is. As soon as you buy a building, regardless if you put 20, 30% down, 30% down, whatever the case is, that first year, you're bleeding.
Yeah, you are. Even if
Yeah.
you're not, you had a bandage on to make sure you're not bleeding.
Yeah, but you got your money in savings. You're prepared to like handle like a year's worth of like whatever you need to do.
Yes.
But then after that, if you're expecting some income to come in. In some cases, they're getting zero income. It's nuts.
And that's no ones on my one. I mean, I have a few, but the one that I mentioned with the tenants owed me the 14,000. You know, no money coming in. I've had 2 tax cycles for property taxes twice on that one. And when I went, now you can pay online. You know, I like to pay in person, so I know I handed it to someone. And my tax office, they have a box outside you put your payment in. I don't even like to do that. I like to go up the stairs and pay. Here's what got me. In my town, you can pay by the end of September. It was my fault. I missed the date. It was my fault. So I said, you know what? The next tax date is October 31st. I'll be fine. I'll go there and I'll get my cat's rubbing up on me. Stop. And then I'll get my tax payment in by the end of October. Well, that's Halloween is on the weekend. So I said, okay. I went in on the day after Halloween. That was a Monday, that Monday. I went into the tax office around 9:30 in the morning when the tax collector opens. Now, I've been to her home. She knows me. I went there and she says, Matt, she says, I can't take your payment. I said, so if I had it in the box outside 45 minutes early, it would be okay. Now, 2 feet away from me, sitting on the bench by the register, is a bunch of taxes, tax bills, and checks.
Got a little Fred behind you.
Yeah, that's my girl. She's 18 in February, so she wants to sit down next to me. 18, she'll be 18. So there I am. She won't take the money from me and the check from me. All they're going to do, Nick, is put a stamp on it. So now my tax are going to be late. So you got to contact the county. Well, I already know that. I'm not stupid. I know how it works. So I got to contact the county in order to pay my taxes. And you know why that is, Nick? She is a one political party. A political party that I'm a mover and a shaker with. We took our town hall back and we took the town supervisor's list back. And we upset a guy who was actually, everybody knew he was going to win. But the supervisor, we beat him. And it was a big upset. And the woman that beat him, she's a sweetheart. I'm really happy for her. And they know now that I used to be in Democratic politics. Now I'm on the other side, very strongly. Point is, Nick, is that because they didn't allow politics to get into it, she could have time-stamped it. She could have said, not time-stamped, but just date-stamped it with a rubber stamp. But because they knew I was active in Republican politics, and a lot of them got out, she kept her seat. That's why she ended up not allowing me to file my taxes in the town. But taxes just went up, and the new town board has no say in it because they're not doing it until January 1. Taxes just went up. They're trying to raise commercial taxes. I think it was 23 or 24% commercial taxes in my town. Property taxes just went up. I believe it was 9 or 10%. Property taxes just went up in my town. Now, in my town, Nick, we don't have fire service. They're volunteer. We don't have, in many parts of my town, we don't have water service. We have wells. So I don't have water service to my house. I don't have fire service to my house. I pay for my own trash collection for my tenants there and here. So even though it's a nice town, I love it where I live here. It's beautiful. It's nice.
It doesn't
Point
offer
being,
you anything for your taxes.
yeah, it's so when you think about what our taxes are, I don't have the fire service not included, water service, I don't pay that. In my other properties I have in Rotterdam that has water coming in, it's a flat rate of $75 a year. So it's not bad. It's not bad, 75 a year. With me, I'm on 2 wells, so I have no water issues whatsoever. But the point being with the taxes, that say property taxes, you would think that she would take my check. It would not have mattered at all. But no, she didn't do it. And I've been to her home, but they allow politics to play a role in what's going on here. Even with de Blasio, when this first came out last year, June, July, when the taxes were due here in your city, he was asked, would he waive them or give them some time? He said no. De Blasio said no.
Blanket no.
I think it was the end of June is when your taxes are due. I think it was June or July of last year. June. So
June.
that was what it was. And he said no. Everybody's got to pay. I mean, I don't know.
Everybody's got to pay except for everybody.
Yeah, well, the everybody.
How's that work exactly? Everybody, but everybody.
Yeah.
Because all I see is one specific group that is consistently having to pay.
Yeah.
That's it. Have you ever seen such isolated group in history? Where
No, I haven't.
It's so blatant. That's the thing that makes it so difficult to be able to grasp. Like, if they were screwing us, but they were screwing everybody.
Yes.
As much as I would hate it, and as much as I would not be able to tolerate it, I would be able to palate it a lot more. Because remember that one quote that you used to love to say in the beginning of the Corona pandemic? We're all in this together. You saw how fast they threw that out the window?
Yeah.
Because we're not all in this together.
Absolutely not. Like I said, we're demonized. We go to eviction court, and it is such a nightmare in our city because our judges have decided that you can't challenge the declaration of hardship. Even though SCOTUS said that we can, they're not allowing us to serve the subpoenas on the tenants. Normally, a subpoena dues the ticket is half a page. That's all it is. Ours is 4 pages long, our subpoena. They're not allowing that to be served or acknowledged. They're requiring us to provide the proof of the financial hardship and medical hardship. You can't provide medical hardship proof. You don't have access to the medical records. And then financial. We have so many times now, our people will call up and come in and say, we want a challenge. And we will run a test. That's what I put on my own black robe. I don't have one, but I put on a black robe. And I'm like, now I'm the judge. Tell me what it is that you think your challenge is. And then tell me. And the moment they tell me, I'm not, you don't have a challenge. Matt, they'll work and they have a great job. I said, I don't care. Matt, what do you mean you don't care? I said, because the court is going to require you to produce receipts to show the offset from their pay that will show that they are not suffering a hardship. If you don't have access to their receipts, their bank accounts, their payroll, their W-2s, their Venmo, their PayPal, their Amazon accounts, I said, you have nothing. And that's what our courts are doing. But another court in Troy, New York, that judge over there is doing just the opposite. He's making the tenants provide all the proof. When they sign the declaration, they put all their proof in. The landlord has the right to examine that proof and then decide, no, you are not suffering, and the landlord wins the eviction. But in our courts, the judges are saying no whatsoever. So we're telling landlords, not what we're doing now, we have a whole stack of quintities. I mean, we're talking, a huge stack of quintities to acquire for our clients.
Where do you start?
What's that?
That's the other problem. Where do you start? It's not only about you being organized to have all your stuff in order. If it was up to you, you'd probably knock them all out. You could have 1,000 court dates ready for yourself, and you knock them all out in a month if you could.
Yes, I would.
When are they going to get to you, though?
Yeah, they're allowing us to file for having.
How many of you get adjourned that first day you go back into court?
Yeah, I love you. This is what we've been telling our people right along. They're like, Matt, you guys are confused. I said, we're not confused. My team has hundreds of cases that are in different stages in the game. From the rent reminder notice, many people call that 5-day, the rent reminder to the warrant of eviction. We've had cases that have been in front of the judge 7 and 8 times. I said, because of the declaration, or they sign the or default hearing, and then they come at the default, and then there's a declaration. I said, they are being coached. So to try to stay on top of all these cases all at once, my office, we've got a few desks in there, and they're piled with paperwork. The filing cabinet hasn't seen much work at all, because that's where the concluded cases go. They're not even being filed away because they're not even being completed. And we tell people, this is not us. I'm telling landlords now, and this is something that on a rerun, or if we do a show very shortly together, I'm telling people we might as well wait to have the court date after January 18th if a royal highness does not extend the moratorium any longer, because then no more default hearings, no more this, no more that. I said, if we get your court date 5 or 6 days before the moratorium is over, and then they adjourn it out for the hardship, or they adjourn it out for the default hearing, you might not be in court for sometime in February, mid to late February in our area. In New York City, Christmas 2022. But that's what we
2022.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
2022.
Oh, you mean even longer?
Oh yes.
Oh,
I can assure you that.
damn.
I document, like, I plead for landlords. A lot of people are very cautious as far as how much they say and not say, and I understand that they don't want to publicly go out there and then have their tenants possibly realize what's happening, get backlash from other. I get it. But a lot of people don't talk, but they got horror stories like you've never seen before. And the way the system works right now, they could, under normal circumstances, without any major issues going on as far as the tenant is concerned, they could drag it out for a full year under our current rent structure. They could drag it for a full year. Yeah, because they know the system. Yeah. If they know the system and they have somebody that is representing them, which is driving me nuts. You don't have money to pay your rent, but you have money to pay an attorney. That when at least they're using the public defendants, which, by the way, we don't get offered as landlords. That's another thing that, because that would be equal. We're not talking about equal treatment, which again, our taxes are paying for their lawyers.
Oh yes.
Oh
yes.
How good of a system would it be? Let's say you did something that I didn't like and I wanted to sue you. And I said, okay, I'm going to take your tax dollars, I'm going to hire an attorney, and we're going to sue you.
Yeah. Well, Nick, when you add that up, my friend,
equivalent. It blows my mind.
That notice that we have to give to tenants, that notice of legal service providers. Ever since the end of December 2020, we've had to give every tenant with every notice served a notice of legal service providers, which has the Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York, or the Rule of Law Project, or whatever projects or whatever agencies you have in your area, in your county. You have to give that to the tenants. And I tell my landlords, here you all wanting to evict, but you provided them with information to stop you from doing what you want to do. It's unbelievable that we have to give that to these tenants. And then in our courtrooms, the judges are hand delivering, almost getting off the bench to get the tenants the declaration of hardship. And they're reciting to them the benefits of signing this declaration. We met landlords, my tenant's not going to sign it. And I tell them, listen, shut up. Shut up. I tell my people that, shut up. I said, what is that's going to happen when you walk in the court, or we walk in the court for you, and the tenant is there? They are put at gunpoint by the court officer to either sign that declaration, or they're going to get a bullet to the head and they're going to hit the floor. I said, they are being forced to sign this. We had one nick where we had settled. We had a stipulation of judgment and a stipulation of vacating the property. Everybody was on board with that. The judge said, nope. She told them about the declaration, and they signed it, and it gave them months more to stay. They eventually moved. This is prior to September, before the court having to tell you. In September, the court had to talk to you about ERAP, LRAP, and the Eviction Moratorium declaration. They had to. After September 2nd, not before. So this judge took it upon herself to inform the tenants that they could sign this declaration. We've had landlords that we tell them, even if the declaration of hardship was defeated in the summary proceeding / landlord tenant case, when the sheriff or marshal or constable comes to remove the tenants, They can hand the declaration of hardship to the sheriff, constable, or marshal, and they stop the eviction and provide that document to the court. We met landlords who have told me, we had one last week. Well, the judge said, I said, I don't care what the judge said. I said, because the sheriff doesn't know that. The warrant just has that on there, and the tenant can sign it and bring it back to court. And the sheriff's office, we're like this, the sheriff's office and I, they said the same thing. They're like, Matt, you're right. They can sign it. We don't know it. And that's what's happening. So we're telling landlords we can file. We're telling landlords to file now, even during this whole pandemic. And when the declaration of hardship, file now, even if it gets adjourned out because you're in queue. You're in queue.
At least you can replace the line.
Yes, that's what we're telling them, yeah. And some of them are like 99.99% of our clients are good with it. The other ones who are very loud and vocal think that we're doing something to hinder their eviction or that these laws were caused by us. I don't know if you had that relationship with some of your people, but we've had that when people think we are the cause of what's been happening.
No, I haven't had any of that. But from the real estate agent side, I'll tell you something that has been happening that really disturbs the hell out of me and gives me major issues and major conflicts of interest. I get tenants that are either coming to me looking for a new place that openly tell me they screwed over their last landlord. And obviously it's not documented anywhere, to find them a new place to go to.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Now, a lot of times the landlords are so happy to get rid of their people, they're willing to say anything as far as a recommendation or whatever the case is, just to get their people out of there. So that one aspect really bothers me, and that's one of the reasons I stopped actually representing tenants. I don't do it anymore. I have one agent that's all he does, that's in my team, and I have to guide him left and right because the everything that's happening right now, I basically guide him and say, listen, if you hear this or you hear this, stay away. You're only asking for trouble. You only ask me. It's not worth it to make a commission on a stupid $1,000 rent or $500 rent. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. You know, and because one, from a moral standpoint, I can't. They don't realize a lot of times when they come to me that I'm a landlord myself, and you're basically looking like the devil in front of me when you're telling me this. Then I get the opposite extreme, where I get tenants coming to me for advice of how to screw their current landlords and stay in apartments longer. How troubling is that?
Oh, yeah. We sometimes get phone calls. I don't know how it is, but people will Google us. They think we're the Legal Aid Society. And then we're like, no. And I had one that called, and I'm like, ma'am, our office only represents landlords. And then she goes on a little bit more about asking questions and wanting. I said, ma'am, we only represent landlords. We cannot help you. We wish you well. I mean, it may have been, because not you and I both can say not every landlord is great. We've had some real doozies as clients. I have one with 1,300. I have some landlords, they're terrible. Rental properties are bad. They have had sexual relations with various tenants or offer sexual relations in lieu of rent. And I know this to be true because I've had various tenants tell me that who don't know each other. So not all of them are great. But at the end of the day, when they call my office up and my staff might help them, they know enough. No, we're not giving out phone numbers for legal aid, but some people will think that we are legal aid. And then I'm on social media as you are. And then
my name is Landlord Advocates.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, what's not clear about that?
But they'll call it because my business name is Ideal Legal Support Services LLC. That's my business name. But they'll call up and thinking Ideal Legal, they'll help me with an eviction. No, we only help the landlords. But it's amazing how they'll call. And then my team also, we're very on local rental groups for people looking for apartments. And I'll see people looking, and they put on a post looking for an apartment. And I know when I look at them, like, oh, you didn't start an eviction notice from us last week, and then they're looking for an apartment. And they're lying on the post. But because of these laws, we can't respond. we can't tell people, listen, don't rent to this person because, that they're getting evicted now. It's completely wrong.
You can't even keep a book of bad tenants.
Yeah.
And why can't we have a portal for landlords basically stating the same way you go to the credit and the credit bureaus and they basically say delinquent this, delinquent. Why can't we report that to the credit bureaus?
Yes.
Why can't we use that?
Yeah.
What's improper of that? So if I decided not to pay my Citibank card, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're going to report it to the boroughs, right? What's different from that than if I'm not paying my rent? Or what's different if they're not paying their Con Edison or whatever electric company you're working with or National Grid? If they're going to report it to the boroughs?
Yes. That's what we said at a city council meeting. When that law came out in 2019, housing stability, when that came out, we spoke at the city council, a bunch of us did. And in my presentation, I mentioned how we can't check names. I said,
that's the biggest reason, by the way. That's the biggest reason we're in such a nasty situation right now. That 2009 rent restructure, whatever you want, abomination.
Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act in 2019. Yes.
Yeah, you can call it like that. I call it the Rent Abomination Act. But that's basically what we're dealing with. That
we call it the Screw the Landlord Act. At my office, Screw the Landlord Act is what we call it. My team does.
That's the key. That is the key issue and problem of why we're as nasty as we are right now with this mess that we're sitting in.
Yes.
Because if it wasn't for that, it would have been able to be somehow worked with. But they made it so extreme and backlogged us so much on prior cases, prior to the lockdowns, to the eviction moratoriums, that it's gonna be a disaster.
I mentioned there's a group out there called Under One Roof.
Yes.
And I've had issues with them. I'm not going to deny it. I hate their logo. I hate their motto. I think it's terrible. It's the worst thing. I learned from one of my people that came in earlier this week that some legislators, she was at a meeting, and they asked about the motto that they have called Protecting Landlords and Tenants. That's their motto. I said, I don't want that motto. I want it gone. I said, because when legislators pass legislation and the governor signs it into law, and we complain about it, all they do is throw up in our face that the motto says protecting tenants. And that's what we're doing. We actually had, and I mentioned one time, we had a lobbyist from that group at one of our landlord meetings. And I mentioned to him some things I want eradicated from that act of 2019. And he just brushed it off, and it pissed me off to no end. I said, there's a number of things, but I said the two main things I want gone right now is the inability to check for tenants' eviction status, prior or current. I want that gone. And I said the number one thing I want gone is that landlords must know the names of every human that resides in the apartment, even those names they never even put in the unit. We had one eviction there, actually 1 block away. We had one where we threw out 2 people, they moved another one in, and then do a new eviction on that one. 1 block over, you can actually walk from the one house and almost cross the street to the other house and get to the other one. They had 4 people in a 3-bedroom apartment that we had evicted. Sheriff came to throw them out. When the sheriff came to throw them out, there was 8 more people living in the apartment. The landlord had to do an eviction on all 8. Now, the deputy in that case, he is a really great guy. I've got a cell phone number, but I don't call him unless it's an emergency because he's just such a great guy. And I asked him, I won't say his name here, but I asked him, what will happen when you throw those 8 people out? He got us the names too. He told, I want to know all your names, and he gave them to me so that we can evict those 8 names and they had to be on all the paperwork. I asked him, I said, what would happen if these 8 people move other people in? Will the landlord have to do a whole new eviction? Which I knew the answer to that, but I want to hear from his mouth. He said yes. So in actuality, Nick, these tenants could in perpetuity for a very long time hold on to that property without being evicted. How fair is that?
It's a nightmare. It's not even about a question about being fair or not. It's a situation where it's costing. This is the problem that people really don't understand. It's costing everybody more money. They don't get it. Forget about us, the big bad landlords. We're the antichrist, whatever we are.
Yes.
It's costing you morons, money more.
Yes.
No, you're sitting there screaming, but you don't like to pay for a rent. You don't like to pay for this. Nobody likes to pay for anything. If you can have everything in the world for free, why not? Okay. Sure. But then we'll just have a nice society that we never do anything productive, and then we never surpass a certain level because nobody would have any incentive to want to do so. You want to live like that? No problem. It's called communism. It's great. And then you just have so many people up in the government that they pull the strings, the puppet masters. So you're putting yourself, you're costing yourself more money in tax dollars. Not only that, let's say you're taking away tax dollars from something, and it's not going to be ever replaced. Those streets that are a mess, that's a mess. Right now they just implemented not that long ago with the marijuana laws as far as getting that extra tax revenue. Do you think that's gonna supplement anything there? No, it's just gonna pad the lining and be more waste.
Yes.
Just like the casinos that when they get the sports betting in here, which is gonna happen eventually. It's gonna happen. What's that gonna supplement? Nothing.
We
Nothing.
just had a casino in our area. We got one of the casinos when Cuomo was handing them out. We got one, and they said the last 3 months have been the best months that they've ever had at the casino since it opened a few years ago.
That's interesting.
But yet, COVID is such a bad thing, and it's killing thousands and millions of people. But yet, you have casinos open, sporting events open, concert halls open. You have all of these things open, grocery stores, malls. I was out yesterday because we had to visit a whole bunch of tenants throughout the Capital District, and I stopped at a couple of Walmarts. Holy crap, Nick! It was like bumper cars. People all over the place shopping. But yet, as I've said so many times, these same people that are at the stores who are tenants, I mean, they're not like that one from Roddy Piper where you wore certain glasses and you saw the men were frogmen versus humans, some movie like that.
They live.
Yeah, they live. Yeah, I love Roddy Piper, but I mean, I don't remember the movie, but another bit.
I remember it.
We can't wear glasses and say tenant, landlord, tenant. So you have all these people out, but yet the specter of the demon of death is hovering over the tenants if we evict them. But yet these same people are traversing the halls of stores, malls. I'm on a rant.
Yeah, I have no problem. You people want to go spend their money wherever they want. Just don't be at my cost.
Right.
Don't be to the detriment of me or anybody else. That's the way my mindset will always has been. It's been, to each their own. You want to live day to day, paycheck to paycheck. You have no maybe things are just hard. Things are hard for some people. I think it's hard for most people out there.
Well, don't make it hard for me, Nick.
But why do you have to make it very difficult for somebody else?
Yes.
Just because you're struggling. I don't understand that. It really bothers me. Really to no end disturbs me.
Yeah. I mean, how can these courts see a tenant that owes 13, 18, 20 months of no rent conveyed to them, not a dime? How can they turn around and say that the tenants are truly suffering when they haven't paid a penny at all in rent? I mean, no efforts whatsoever, not even an effort to maybe clean up the property where they live to offset some of their rent or mow the lawns. I've had such indignation from these tenants. My clients are committing to me they have to do repairs, and they'll find the tenants sitting there watching TV, playing video games. We can go with tenants on months worth of rent to their house, and they have a video game controller in their hand. And that woman that owes $17,000 that I mentioned earlier, she answered the door, she had a T-shirt on. It was lawn. So I don't know what she had on under the T-shirt, but her sons are there. Her 18, 19-year-old sons are there. The apartment is a disaster. It's a mess. And she's got the heat on high, owed $17,000 in rent, and was claiming that she was being harassed by not only us, but by the landlord, because they owe that money. This is the one that's been evicted. This is the 4th time. You have no idea how much I want to convey that information to all the landlords to let them know that she's been evicted before. And I can't publicly say how we do it, but we find ways. We find ways.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, people don't realize that there's always a way. Whether it's a good way, bad way, you put people against the wall, they will find ways to be able to get through things.
Yes.
Which is how it works.
Look at that lawsuit. I mentioned it a few months ago where there was 70 or 80 property managers, real estate brokers, and agents that are being sued because they were recorded denying people on Section 8 and DSS for apartments in New York City. They were recorded by tenant advocates. And I did a video on this, and quite frankly, even though I don't think this came out in April of 2019, that we cannot deny programs, which is ERAP, LRAP, DSS, Section 8, any of those, you cannot deny them for tenancy. But they had these people being recorded, denying people, you're on partners, we don't take them. And every one of those landlords is going to get sued, and they're going to end up having to pay.
You want to hear something funny about denying? As we're talking, I get a pop-up from YouTube. This video is running limited on no ads, which is actually good for me. I don't want people to watch ads due to content identified not suitable for most of the advertisers. What have we said so far that's not suitable? It remains totally playable and is eligible to earn subscription revenue and YouTube Premium. But it's just like, come on.
What do you think?
This is the majority of stuff on my channel, by the way. That I get these things that come up and they basically say, well, you're speaking about stuff that's not suitable, or you're doing stuff that might be questionable to the public. It's what am I saying? What are we saying that is that's wrong?
Well, you know what happened to me? I was in Facebook jail for a week. I just got out last Sunday.
Well, that's why I haven't been really on Facebook, because Facebook they cut me off midstream a lot of times. There's some issues.
I'm not having any issues with it when it's StreamYard, but why I was cut off.
I'm talking about live stream. I would be doing it straight from Facebook Live. And it would be sensitive stuff.
Oh, okay.
But not sensitive to the point where it's detrimental to anybody or something like that. Like, for example, when the whole when they shut down Parler and all that stuff with the social media and stuff like that. Well, I said, I was like, right now they're limiting our platforms with that kind of stuff, and I was streaming simultaneously from YouTube and from Facebook at that time. Facebook cut me off, and then I tried to reboot, and they cut me off again.
Wow!
So it's not a coincidence. YouTube kept it going, believe it or not.
Yeah, well, I think YouTube is going to be more open-minded, shall we say, than Facebook.
But they hit me with one of these messages, may not be suitable for anybody. So basically, unless you get the link to the video, you might never get to see it.
Isn't that amazing? What happened with Facebook and one of our local groups, a client of mine, just out of the blue, had commented about how she's not renting and how terrible the tenants are. And this woman went on there and admonished her for putting that out there. And I had said on social media to the same woman, I said, she's only informing those who are uninformed. It's just a matter of education and letting people know. And then this woman kept getting it worse and worse and worse. So I had said to her, I texted on the platform, I had said, the landlords, she called us greedy landlords and all of that. I said, let me tell you, rents go up because of bad tenants as prices go up due to shoplifters. I said it happens across the board. When there's bad actors, it increases the price for the good actors. Well, she's going back, and then she started again about how greedy landlords are. And I said, you know what? I said, you are beyond clueless. I said, you just don't get it. You're clueless. Facebook saw that as me bullying her, and they put me in Facebook jail for a week. To call her clueless? How's that bullying somebody? You know, they did that to me before because some tenant troll got me on a group, and I called them ignorant and arrogant. And they Facebook said I was bullying them. They put me in jail for 3 days. When I did, they looked at that one and this one and made it 7 days. And I had sent in my appeal, which they never opened up and never read, that you can send to them. I said in my appeal, I said, ignorant is not knowing something, and arrogant is believing that you do. That's what it is. Ignorant is not knowing something, Nick. I just say you're ignorant on how to make bread. I know I am. It's not a bad word. You know, ignorant not knowing something, and arrogant thinking that you do. But they said, no, that was bullying.
You know, I am not one that minces words. I'm very blunt.
You're Italian. You have to be. You can't be.
I'm actually Greek.
Great. Oh, okay. I thought you were Italian, Nick.
Yeah. Close enough, though. So I'm pretty blunt when I speak. Obviously, I'm going to taper my mouth when necessary, and not say things that are blatantly disrespectful to anybody. But the one thing that I am very mindful of, and I always was, that whether I disagree, whether I agree with you, I always believe in the right to agree to disagree, whether what you're telling me is valid or invalid in my mind, because there's always two sides of the story, that kind of thing. I'm never disrespectful to people directly. You want to say your piece? I've had people on the show, on the radio, when they come in, they tell their side to the story. I let them speak. And if I'm not in agreement, I will basically, debate them in the best way possible. But I never say anything blatant. But for some reason, just because I don't agree with somebody on a lot of these platforms, and I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm not saying a lot of times I'll say, I completely understand your standpoint and where you're coming from, but here's how it is from the other side.
Right.
And maybe you could understand what's happening. I always take that type of approach. They block me left and right. It is insane. I mean, just on YouTube, I used to have at one point 6,000 subscribers before I even started this whole venture with Landlord Rights, or even getting in there. I even created another channel, Landlords Are Human, just to make that as a solid platform just for that reason. That's a non-monetized channel. Like, I'm hoping to build it up, and at one point or another, if it ever gets monetized or any kind of like revenue happens, the plan is to turn that into a self-generating monetized channel. Yes. That I could maybe turn into a non-for-profit or something like that, where whatever revenue goes there goes towards landlords to help them out or that kind of thing. We're still way away from there because you don't make money.
I had a guy on one of our groups that you're a member of. It's on there now. We had a guy in trying today, him and I did. And you'll see it. But he actually turned off commenting, so I can't comment anymore. But we had talked about that, and I said, listen, you and I are going to do, he called me a tenant advocate, and he went on, so I sent the information to my fellow.
He called you a tenant advocate?
Yeah, he called me a tenant advocate. He's a landlord. He's a tenant.
But how are you a tenant advocate?
Yeah, well, we went back and forth, him and I. He contacted my office to get some assistance. He denies ever doing it, but he called about a city. Well, the last time we did an eviction in that city was 7.5 years ago. So in 1 week, he's claiming that it wasn't him, it was somebody else calling to do an eviction in the same city when we haven't done one in 7.5 years. It was him. And he denied even talking to anybody in my office. And my office said, yeah, he called, wanted free information, and we weren't going to give it. He hit me up in private messenger, on Facebook Messenger, asking me to provide him with how to do something so he doesn't hire my office to do it. And I'm like, well, I didn't really want to answer him. But today, he asked for an attorney in the Albany area. He went out with a scenario that he had, and I just hold back. I formulated my response to him. And I said, you called us up, and then he just went on and on and on. And then he blocked it. So I reached out to a couple of the other administrators in the group, and I don't see they haven't hit me up, well, maybe they have. I'm gonna maybe possibly remove him from the group because calling me an advocate, I'm disorganized. We don't know what we're doing. I never spoke to you people, but yet he even said in that whole chain of communication that he goes to the groups to get free information. Why should he pay for it? And I said to him, I said, let me tell you something. Just because people provide you with an answer does not mean it's the truth. I said a lot, and you know that a lot of times other people will call, and I tell them, listen, I will never tell you what you want to hear because I don't care what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. We're going to tell you the truth.
Well,
And
how
this
many times have you heard me say, I'm not an attorney? You know, I might know a thing or two about a thing or two, and I might have a mouth as far as being able to talk about things and try to work it out and from the real estate angle of it, how to be able creative to structure sales and stuff like that, especially now when you got not paying tenants, and how to sell an income property when you have non-payers, how to be able to work with that. That stuff I could help you with. But I've said this time and time again, you got to go to the professionals. Not in these kind of situations. You got to go pay an attorney. You can't ask for free advice. You can't do these kind of things. You know, there's not a hotline out there that you're going to call 1-800-lawyer and they're going to give you every single answer you need. You know, it just doesn't work that way. You know,
but that's what I told them. I said, I work 7 days a week. I bring it home with me. I mean, here's some of the work I have now. I have more in my chair over there to do over here, more work to do. But I had told this guy, he said, well, maybe you need to do something better so you're not working on the weekends and at nights. I said, my stat, and I answer phone calls and walk-ins and return phone calls. And we listen to tenants' questions or landlords' questions. We listen to them complaining about their tenants and venting. I said, but none of that is generating revenue for us. So I said, when those calls end and the people stop coming in, then we're doing the work that people are paying us to do. I said, that's why. And then I went on to him, and you know this just as well as I do now. I said, let me tell you something. My YouTube channel costs me money. I have recurring fees that you and I pay. I pay for a thumbnail, that program there. I pay for the live streaming program.
Big time.
My editing software program from Wondershare. I upped I made it more professional so I can add more graphics. My research time, putting the stuff together and then sharing it, and then you at your time. And I said, that costs me money. So this is something that we do. My cameras, my lighting, my microphones. I said, this all costs us money. So when he called me a tenant advocate, that was just like, but when I told people out of a group, I want to have 2 administrators.
Just one moment, just to not jump off of your channel. Let's be clear, because I actually just looked at that because I had to pull the link and I put that into the live stream and I put it into the description of here. So anybody that's listening, I want to go find Matthew's channel, Landlord Advocates. It's in the description and it's in the live stream as well. I'm looking at your channel right now, and I find it inexcusable that you have only 897 subscribers. I don't think I've ever heard you ask for any kind of monetary payment. I haven't seen you turn around and say, well, we want to create something to generate revenue to keep this going. Nothing. This is all on your own dime and all on your own time. The fact that you don't have 10,000 subscribers of landlords behind you roaring is, for me personally, a travesty. It really is.
Thank you.
Because you know you're offering a very valid service, and you're doing it in an entertaining way as well. So you're not one of these mundane kind of guys that just go there and just regurgitate the same crap that you hear from everybody else. You put a little bit of passion into it. You could see that you really believe in what you're talking about. You know, it's not only something that you're behind, you're actually living it as well. You're on the same side as the people that you're helping. So
I've cried over these laws. I've had landlords come in and want to commit suicide, and I've held them in my arms, and I said, you can't do this. I said, I'm taking you. I said, I'll allow you to be upset for a half an hour. I said, look in the mirror, get upset. I said, then I'm taking that away from you. I said, you have to take the power away from the tenants that you gave them to make you feel that you want to kill yourself. Don't do that. And you went now. I have said on social media that if my channel was about smut, gaming, or rumor mongering, I had thousands and thousands of subscribers. I said, when I saw one that was up the other day on YouTube that, they show you might want to watch. I don't do gaming at all. But one came up about something something with those goggles that you wear.
Oh my God. I get dizzy with all that stuff. My son's gonna be 15-year-old on tomorrow, actually. And he's all into this stuff, and I'm just watching it, and he watches the videos, and I can't even
2 days into it, they have 1.5 million views. I'm like, my videos are ones that if you watch, you're not going to go to prison, you're not going to go to jail, you're not going to cost yourself thousands of dollars, you're not going to have the government breathing down your back, and you might have 400 or 500 views. Now, I'm in the same way, I'll be honest with you. I'm not getting monetized here, and if I do, it'll only go back into the channel to make it even better than what we have now. I even bought that for my monitors. I have a dual monitor system when I do the live shows. I bought this thing that goes on the monitor called a FlexiCam. It was $85. It looks like a wreath holder that you put on a door. It's clear, made out of plexiglass, very thick. It has a platform that you put your wireless, whatever you call those cams, the cameras on it, and it sits in the middle of your screen. So instead of looking at the camera and you're actually looking down, you're looking right at the camera, but it looks like you're looking right at the person's face. That was $85. I took it out of my own pocket for that shit. Because I do care about what I do. But you're right now. And I appreciate you saying that. When I look at how many, the numbers are great for how long we've been around. But during the time frame that we're dealing with now with this COVID stuff,
you should have been well beyond that. Yeah. You really should have been well beyond that. And I'm going to do everything I can, at least from my group of people and audience and viewers and the radio show as well, to try to help your channel grow as much as possible. Because it really is something that I think is important to do that. And I mentioned Rich Tyson earlier as well. He's another guy. He's been doing a lot of stuff, been very vocal, put together a lot of different videos together. He just recently did that GoFundMe. I'm not sure where that's going to go as far as how it's going to help, but I'm sure. You never say sure in these days, but I'm confident that he's going to do the right thing and put it in the right vehicles as far as promoting landlord advocacy and possibly get those lobbyists to try to help.
Rich is good in Rochester. He's really good at what he does up there in Rochester. I've done a few Zoom meetings with him, with legislators and other people, and he's very eloquent in his words, his presentation. He's really good at that. He is. But what we can do, you and I, when it comes to StreamYard, you get the free program that allows you to stream to one location, which is maybe your YouTube channel. I have the next program that allows me to go to 3. And I usually do 2 Facebook groups and YouTube. Mm-hmm. Vitaly and I did a live show in September regarding the new moratorium. He has the professional one, but it didn't allow us to do it simulcast at the same time. Now, StreamYard came out with Teams, Teams. And what that allows us to do is that if he's got 8, I've got 3. Let's say you, him, and I did it, and you have 3, I have 3, he has 8. We can broadcast to all those platforms at the same time.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and that's something that you can, even if you had the one, let's say you have just your one YouTube channel. I have 3. We do a live show, and either one of us hosts our StreamYard. The only thing that we have to do, and it doesn't matter because we're all professionals, is I have to make you an administrator for that particular show. That allows you to share it. Then once the show is over with, we just remove the administrator status from you until it's, and anybody that would be offended by that, I don't want them on my show anyway, because I don't need to have administrator over you, Nick. Just long enough for me to broadcast it to our stations, do the thumbs up and move on.
It makes no sense. It makes no difference. You know, as far as what we do, the truth be said is the same audience is probably going to bounce from one channel to the other anyway. So it doesn't matter
Yeah.
who's sharing it or not sharing it. You
But
know,
the nice thing is
and you
that
can always do it later on as well.
yeah.
You don't
But
have
the
to
nice
do
thing
it.
about doing them at the same time, Nick, is that it covers more because they didn't have that. So Vitali had to take the video that we did, he had to edit it and do all this other stuff and then put it on his channel. I mean, we did a 4-hour show because it was a very hot button issue. But it's something that we can limit to say 1 hour. This is what we're going to do, folks. Answer, and then right here on the side, on the right-hand side of the screen, and somebody comes up with a great question. And not only that, Nick, if we have somebody like Rich Tyson who's watching, we can bring him onto the show immediately.
Yeah.
I know with Zoom you can, but with this one here, all they gotta do is just send him the link. And at the bottom of the screen, he's in the green room. And then we can have a private chat with him that no one else can see. You know, a text chat, that is. Are you ready, Nick? Or are you ready, Rich? And they say yes. And then we bring them on the screen. We can do a thing called screen sharing that you can't do here with Zoom, as I understand. With screen sharing,
You can actually share screen, but it's convoluted the way that's set up over here.
difficult, yes. With the screen share, now you can have, you know, you smaller or equal, or the screen bigger, or the whole screen taken over. The one I want to do is I want to do more reactionary videos and have like a video playing and have me being in the corner and then stopping the video and then reacting to that. Because one thing I gotta tell you is that there's another landlord creator on social media, YouTube, and I like what he does, but basically, Nick, how do I say this? In a professional way, what he does is he grabs news stories and basically reads them on his channel and offers a little bit of commentary, and that's what he does. He reaches an audience, and I'm great with him. I reached out to him to say, hey, why don't we do a collaboration? But he doesn't do, I don't think he does the research that you and I will do so that we can talk about the topic without having it so-and-so. And I don't want that. I don't want somebody on my show, and I don't think you want somebody on your show then it's just regurgitating something that they're reading, even though it's getting the information.
Well, the thing is, I don't have a problem if somebody's either being a parrot and rewording things that they're hearing over and over again. If that's what they're doing, so be it. The only problem with that, especially if you're in a live format, it's going to get exposed real fast.
Yes.
So it's really going to hurt that person more than anybody else. As far as like, if we're having conversation and you're completely clueless about what we're talking about, and all you know is you have a pad of facts that you have in front of you. If what we're discussing, we go a little off topic, you're not going to be able to keep up, or you're going to look foolish on your end. And like I said, I have no problem having people like that on my streams, but anytime that you've had something like that happen, they've gotten beat up by some of the people in the live streams.
Right. And that's what I meant, Nick, when what you just said, you clarified for me what I said, is that in it's a YouTube video and he reads from it and stuff, and his information is great because I've learned some stuff from him. And then I've learned more, and then I've done stuff out with that. Not pirating what he has or stealing it, but he's reading something, but now I go into it into a deeper sense. What you said there on a live show, if your information is pulled from reading something and now it goes blank, like they always say, you never memorize a speech, never, because if you lose it, you're done. You watch that on Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, which I love those shows. The people who win, I love them. And they end up stumbling because they now got lost on that one word. It broke the chain. They can't find that one word. And also, when you and I do our shows, when we are going off of our knowledge and experience, it will make the viewer gravitate to us more and validate what we're saying more than if we're just reading it from a piece of paper.
Well, think about what we're doing right now. I went on here with no intention of really getting into much. I'm doing stream tests right now. I was basically going to tell everybody to remind everybody about the radio show tomorrow night. And you jump on, which I love the fact that you gave me the opportunity not only to talk to you and stream with you, but also test out the way this is looking right now, which might actually be my last Zoom stream, because I'm probably going to be going to the StreamYard going relatively soon. But we don't have anything in front of us. That we're just having a conversation right now. This is all for life experience that we're talking about.
Yes, my friend.
So this is something that I think that a lot of people that are in the same boat with us, this is the kind of conversation I have with other people that are my peers, other people that are landlords, that I'm sitting there having a cup of coffee with and talking about what we're dealing with and what we're trying to do. And I think that's the best way to go about doing these things. And I do that often. A lot of times I'll be frustrated. I'll have a rant that I'm ready to go. And I just feel like, all right, I'm just gonna go online right now. I'm gonna vent and see if there's anybody else out there that's thinking the same way. Like if some law comes out there or whatever the case is, and I'm just animated about it. I want to see, is there anybody else that's on there just as upset with me?
I gotta do that more myself because I don't. And the studio is 2 rooms over. The table
You just gotta taper the mouth a little bit, just a little bit, because I've gotten myself in trouble where I try to keep my language as PG as possible, but sometimes I've heard myself, and then I had to take it back, and out of frustration. Sometimes
I'm good with it. I don't swear. I mean, I drop words at my office, not talking about, but it's my office. But I don't do it on social media, though.
You're not hearing me sing F-bombs and stuff like that. But sometimes I will rewind it and say, maybe I shouldn't. I should, sometimes out of my frustration, I hate using this word, even though it applies a lot of times. I really hate using this word, deadbeat.
What's the word?
Deadbeat.
Deadbeat.
I don't like to use this word because it's basically belittling me when I'm talking about other people like that are basically deadbeats. But I try to be a little bit more politically correct. Just a little bit clearer as far as what I'm speaking. But sometimes out of frustration, I say things like this.
But I have used that in my business. And like I said, this is now my 31st year. I have done it with my people at my office. I will vent to them. And what I'm doing basically by venting to them is I'm empathizing with them before I lower the boom. And what I do, like, if you were at my actual desk, let's say you're at my desk right now, Nick, and you're in front of me, I will tell you, I said, on your side of the desk, I completely agree with you. I wouldn't blame you if you went there and took a hammer to your tenant, but on my side of the desk, you can't do that because your future is in my best interest for you. You can't do these things. What I do when I say that, because I'm letting them know I completely agree with them. I have such vitriol, disgust for their tenants and what government is doing, but then I bring it back to the reality of the subject so that they don't do that. And that's okay, Nick, I'm doing that because, case in point, a man ran for president of the United States. He was asked one question, and this man lost the election based upon his answer to this one question. And this man was Mathew Lyman, the former governor of Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
He was asked by a reporter. It was a question of a crime that had happened to a woman. The question was asked of him is, what would you do if a man raped your wife? And the answer that he gave was, it was what's what I'm looking for? It was basically, well, maybe he would have some counseling and we'd try to help him. That ruined my Uncle Caucus right there. The answer should have been is that I would have killed the SOB for raping my wife. If he had answered it that way, he might have become president of the United States in the 80s.
See, that wasn't a Greek in him that said that, because he's a fellow Greek, but he should have went back to his more roots when it comes to that.
That's what people want to hear. They want to hear the humanity of the subject, and he removed the humanity and the love from the subject by answering in such a.
He made himself a politician.
Yes,
and that's the problem.
That ruined him. That will, and that's why now with my landlords that I've had, I can yell at them at my office. I can tell them an effing stupid jerk, don't do this. And they actually love me for it because they said, Matt, you care about us. I said, yes, I do care about you. I'll come out of my waiting room and you're going to laugh. The best apparatus I have in my office is the lock in the waiting room door that goes into the rest of the suite. Because we've had people that just like to walk right on in. It says no admittance. They walk right in, and we're like, no, you have to stay in the waiting room. But there are times I'll bring people into my office. I don't normally do that because I go on too long with them. Or I'll go out in the waiting room and I'll sit down with them and I'll hold their hand or I'll give them a hug. And I'll let them know, listen, I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't like what's happening to you. I don't like what the government is doing. So when you mention that about deadbeats or whatever, it can actually humanize you more than what the perception is that you may not want to have.
It does, but
It
you
does.
know, a lot of times I look at it myself and I'm like, I'm bringing myself to the lower denominator by using names and stuff like that. But again, if you're gonna catch me off the cuff, and if you can catch me heated, I'm going to say things that a lot of people are not necessarily going to be happy with. I mean, I've got a lot of hate from tenants calling and sending messages. You got to see some of the emails I've gotten in the past where really bad stuff, really bad stuff. But why? Because I'm saying what's right. That's a problem. People don't like the truth. You know, the truth hurts more than anything else.
Yeah.
It really does. You know, it's
I'm
sad.
lucky. I don't see the tenants at my office. I've seen them in court or at their home. But we had some landlords that will just give our phone number out to their tenant. And we would tell them, please don't do that.
Why would they do that?
Because the tenant may tell them something.
Or call my
We've
lawyer.
had landlords who have called us up and said, the tenant said, we had one the other day. We had due diligence in the service of the notice. And then, of course, we tape it on the door, send certified first-class mail. And we met landlords who were called and said, yeah, the tenant said you can't do that. And a couple of times now, I've said to a few of my landlords that have done that. I said, well, you know, on that day, I was feeling a little bit lazy, so I just decided to tape it on the door. And then, you did? Can you do that? And then I bite their heads up. I said, listen, my office will not do something that the law does not allow us to do to help you get rid of your tenant. I said, the tenant reached out to you. You believe the tenant, and now you're calling us up thinking that we did something wrong. Or they'll call up and want us to talk to their tenant. And no, we don't talk to your tenant. That was your opportunity before you came to us to talk to your tenant. If your tenant wants to talk to you about remediating this problem, they can do that with you, but not with us. I said, now, if you want to pay us to represent you, then we will at $350 an hour. You can pay us, and my attorneys will represent you and talk to you. We have a lot of them that will come in and we tell them that they pay a certain fee to us to have the attorney represent them in court.
Yeah, you have to take a retainer.
Yeah, what they want to do is we call it we can call it a retainer, or attorney can. I forget what a recording fee or whatever he told us to call it, but they pay us and we tell them you get the ear of the attorney when you're in court. If you want the ear of the attorney before then, it's going to cost you $350 an hour. And I'm well, why? What's the price difference? I said, because a lot of you landlords want to go on and on and on about your problems with the attorney. Well, you're going to pay him for that. When the attorneys and I sit down the day before court and go over your files, they only need to know what I tell them because that's all they need to know. They don't want to know all that other stuff. And furthermore, on top of that, you may tell me something that I don't need to share. But the moment you tell them, and this is something that our listeners now will learn, when you tell an attorney something and a judge asks them that question, they must tell the judge.
They're legally responsible to be able to disclose it.
Yeah, but if you tell me something,
They're their filter.
Yeah, I'm the filter, and I'm like, no, you don't need to. I remember years ago, one judge, I could stand up and represent the land. The landlords are there. And we had one landlord who the tenant was sticking their foot in their mouth in such a great way. The landlord was standing next to me, and she wants to run her mouth. I took her hand and I squeezed her hand, and loud enough for her to hear, but no one else to hear. I said to her, I said, shut your mouth now. She heard me, but nobody else did. She looked at me with that like, whoa. And she shut her mouth, and we got more than what we asked for in court. We got an immediate eviction. And I said, like,
How
go
do you
ahead.
feel at the fact? I don't know how it is up there. I know down here, if you have a LLC or you have an entity, you're not allowed to go and represent yourself in court.
Same thing here, you're not allowed to.
The same thing over there?
Yeah, you can't represent yourself. Because an LLC
Why is that?
Because they look on the LLC as an entity in and of itself.
But here's
Even
the
though
thing,
I'm a sole member.
if you can't afford it, regardless if you're LLC or not, you know how many people I speak to that they just can't afford to hire. They're not getting paid. They're paying in debt to cover the building.
Yeah.
They don't have money to give an attorney, and they're stuck. And what happens a lot of times is they're sitting there losing more months, getting further into debt because they can't get they can't hire an attorney to represent.
But you know what? With an LLC is an entity in and of itself. It's not a living, breathing thing that you and I are.
Understood,
but
yeah.
we use the LLCs to protect our assets. So if you come after, you're going after the LLC and not necessarily me. And that's why.
Once upon a time, though, as a member or an officer of that LLC, you were able to go self-represent.
Sometimes it's small claims courts, but one of the things I have said, and I know you're going to agree with me 1,000,000,000%. You can't agree with me more than what I'm going to say now. I am told people the New York State unified court system is anything but unified.
Absolutely.
You're right. One judge will rule one way, another judge will. We've had it. I've had landlords who will tell me, Matt, what will happen in court? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You've been doing this for 30 years. What the hell do you mean you don't know? And I tell them that
you're dealing with human beings. That's why you don't know.
Well, I tell them this. I don't know what will happen until I open up that courtroom door and see who's sitting on the bench. Then I can tell you what I think will happen. Because we've seen that happen, Nick. We have a judge last week, the previous week that we were just in, and the week before, on 2 different Wednesdays, ruled differently on cases. Our attorney who represented both of those tenants, I keep saying tenants, both of those landlords in that case, the judge ruled differently, and our attorney said, Your Honor, but last week, that wasn't me. So the attorney asked the court clerk to look up on the calendar. It was actually her. She did not remember. She ruled one way 1 week and ruled differently the following week. And then that, and I don't know.
And of course, after they discovered that, they didn't overturn the decision.
No, of course not. And I don't know if you deal with the court system as much as I, and the landlords as much as I when it comes to court. But I've had landlords who are like upset because we can't give them the answer that they want, or the way the court rules. It's like, we can fight and argue as much as we want. But if the court says no, and the court is, how are we going to fight it? Now, we wanted to appeal the court here not allowing us to challenge the declaration of hardship. They're allowing it, but you have to provide all the blood, sweat, and tears when we don't have the ability. So we wanted to appeal, but our appeals attorney that we work with is located in Schoharie County. I was just up there yesterday. It's a beautiful area, but it's like $4,000 to $5,000 to appeal. And the landlords don't want to put that money up to pay for that. Now, I'll tell you, Nick, for what we charge in our area, for our landlords to be represented by an attorney in our local city court, because we can walk from our offices right there. We charge for our attorneys to go $175.
That's it?
That's it. And you get 2 court appearances.
See, that's what the difference is down here in the city. Everything is inflated.
Yeah, $900 for them just to say hi to you.
Basically that's it. Yeah, and then and there's a lot of small landlords that
it's
I don't have it. I don't have it.
Yeah.
And then some attorneys won't work with them as far as taking payments. At least if some attorneys did a payment schedule or something like that, maybe they could work it out. But it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. And again, I always recommend to everybody, like I said, when you're especially severe, this coming from somebody that I used to go into all my court cases myself. I don't do it as much anymore. Very, very rarely do I go in there if I don't have to. If I have to be witness, whatever the case is, I'll go there, whatever, I'll do whatever I have to do. But there was a time where when I first started, I couldn't afford to hire an attorney, and I had to learn. And I'll tell you something. I made mistakes. The best way to learn and the best way to get better is make a ton of mistakes that you could actually survive. And that I was the king of making mistakes that I could survive from. And every mistake I made sure that I didn't do the same thing again. I made other mistakes after that, but I never made the same mistake again. So, coming from somebody from that aspect, I could understand somebody being in financial strain, and thankfully I built a good team of attorneys and people that are affiliated that would work with me, at some time after they saw that I was doing this more often, I became a little bit, better known, and I wasn't a stupid 18-year-old kid trying to like do things for my dad. I was able to at least develop a little bit of a reputation for people. So they would work with me and say, listen, don't worry, you pay paid next month or whatever the case is. And they would defer things. And it was able, there was a good cooperation. So, that's the part that really bothers me, that as far as a lot of people wanting to hire attorneys and just not even being able to get the opportunity. And then the tenants are basically getting their attorneys paid for free.
Oh yeah, we've had tenants come with my attorney. We had one Nick. If you gotta go pee, you better pee, because I've got a story that will make you laugh your ass off. We had a case in one of our courts where the tenant came to court and he wanted a lawyer. So all of us, our team represented our landlord client. The tenant wanted a lawyer. So it was given an adjourned date. In this courtroom, before you go through the medical detectors, they have a questionnaire. Do you have COVID? Have you been out of the country? Do you know when you were around somebody with COVID? When this tenant saw that and checked the box, yes, him and his wife, yes, we were. So the court said, no, we're gonna put this out for another day. He then says on the third court appearance that his attorney couldn't make it because his attorney's in New York City. So I'm sitting in an area in the court where other people don't, and our attorney's up there with our client talking, and the tenant says the name of the attorney. Well, in this courtroom, and all of them, I'm allowed to have my cell phone on. They always tell you put your cell phone away, turn your cell phone off. I don't have that. That's one of the privileges I have. Well, now, this is so funny. This is so funny, man. The tenant said to his attorney the name. I looked up the name. One is in New York City. No New York City attorney is going to drive 3 hours to do an eviction up here. Not going to happen. And not only that, Nick, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? The attorney was admitted to practice law in the state of New York in 1929. Like, the guy would have to be 120. My dad was born in 31 and he's 90 years old. So that means this guy's been admitted to practice law for 92 years in the state of New York. The guy's dead. And he's dead. And this tenant tried. Then the judge adjourned it out again.
Why? You just called him out on the bullshit. Why did that happen?
Because that attorney couldn't make it, and we called him out on it. So the judge in that case was an attorney. In towns and villages, you don't need to be. This guy, and he's really nice. I do like this guy. I really do. And he said that was it. They were going to contact OC, Office of Court Administration, for guidance. As I understand, I think he went back another time and they tried to claim COVID again, that they were around somebody else. It was 4 to 5 times they were in court. The judge was not having any more of it. And we got a judgment for $9,000.
Yeah, why were they getting that additional time?
Yes, and we had asked.
Clear.
Right.
It was clear.
We had asked the judge, if he uses this excuse again and he's been around somebody with COVID, he needs to come in with a COVID test to show that he's not positive. And the judge wasn't sure if he was going to allow it. So our attorney, who's a former town board member, Republican town board, he's a great guy. He was the only Republican on the whole board, and he fought heads with everyone. That's somebody I want on my team, and he is on my team. And he said, Your Honor, no, this guy can completely do this time and time again. We ended up winning eventually. A few months into it, we won. We got a full money judgment and the warrant of eviction. The sheriff was coming. Now, normally, Nick, I don't meet up with the sheriff when we have to do the warrants. The landlord goes, I get paid, I'm done. In this case, I told the landlord, who's a prominent businessman in our county, I said, I want you to call me and let me know when the sheriff is coming, because I'm going to be there. And I said, I might even videotape the entire eviction on this guy. Now, granted, with my editing software program, I have the ability to have an emoji or whatever across the person's face. As long as you block out the face, you're okay. And the editing software I have, I can put it on your face right now. Then you move wherever, that will follow you everywhere you go. I was thinking about doing the pile of emoji. You know what I'm talking about? The big brown pile. I was putting that on the face of the tenant as I follow them around. So, I mean, these people can show what they get. They owe thousands and thousands of dollars. They played the system so long. And here you are, you're telling us your attorney is coming and he's going to be, one is dead. And even if he was alive, he'd be 120 some odd years old. To be practicing law for 93 years, factor in your age, and factor in law school. Come on, he had to be 115 years old.
Would they even allow them to still practice law after that age?
Yeah, at that age, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But we knew that it was a lie. And what I did is I walked up to the landlord, because our attorney was talking to the judge. I said, come with me right now. And we went to the back of the courtroom. I showed him my phone. And then we went on it when I showed Joe, and Joe's our attorney. And Joe looked at it and he's like, Your Honor, this man is dead. This attorney is dead. But it's amazing what these tenants pull in court, and the courts allow it.
Just, everything is supposed to be on the truth when you're speaking to the judge, correct?
Right.
So this person blatantly lied.
Yeah.
What penalty was there for the lie?
Yeah. Now, I can tell you, in this area, we have 2 judges that sit in this courtroom. I like them both, but the other one is a no BSer. He doesn't want to hear any BS. He's the one that heard that case. He was the last judge to hear it. Even though the other judge had heard the previous times that they were there, this time it was the other judge, and he ain't listening to no crap, which was great. He has shut down the declaration of hardship.
So if that person was there when you called him out, he would have probably ended it right there.
Ended it right there. Again, that was a unified court system, doesn't exist. He would have ended it right there. And this particular judge actually lives on my street about 3 doors down from me. And he's a great guy, a retired police officer. I like him a lot. And we've had private trust. I mean, I can do that. He's not representing me. He's hearing cases. They're allowed to do that. You can be friendly with everybody. I'm involved right now in a $300,000 lawsuit. And we're going to win. We just don't know how much we're going to win. And the judge knows me, not on a personal basis, but he knows me. And the other side that we're suing knows that we all know each other. And they did not put a change of venue in. They did not put a change of judging. And now it's way too late for any of that. And they already know the relationship that we all know. It is what I've been in the system for so many years. But in this case here, the one judge.
But that goes without, how many times I'll go into court and the judge will not only know the one side, know both sides by first name, and
yes,
make a joke with each other right before everything gets started. You're in the system long enough, you're doing this long enough, you're gonna get friendly with people regardless.
Yeah. Our chief judge in our area, in our district, our judicial district, his name is Vito. And he's Italian. His name is Vito. Great guy. Him and I served on a local college board of trustees together. Vito sat to my right at our board meetings. I've seen him out and about in public, and I'll call him Judge Caruso. And I say, don't call me Judge Caruso. My name is Vito. And I mean, that's somebody who's really great about it. But you're right. My relationship with so many judges, we have one. She's on the Court of Appeals. If she saw me and I saw it, it'd be hugs. It'd be a hug. The one judge who's now a much higher level judge, he was city court judge at one time. He'd bring in donuts for the staff in his office. And I remember him telling me one time, he says, Matt, you're not a part of the court, but you're here enough. Just go and have a donut. And that's the rapport that and you're right, Nick, you develop that rapport with the judges and whatnot. And I've had ones that I disagree with, but the same judge who let this case go on and on and on is the same judge who heard my eviction case against my tenants. And they took him to a trial, which is the dumbest thing they ever could have done. You're going up against a great attorney who graduated in the top 5% of his law class. And you're going up against me, who's done thousands of evictions. They owed me $14,000. That's why I told you they owed me 14. They offered me a judgment for 7. I said, no. I offered to sign up for 10. They wanted no part of it. So I went to a trial, and yeah, I gotta tell you, when I'm looking over at the other side where the 2 tenants are, and the judge is ruling, and I knew his ruling, the more he talked, we knew it was going for me. I had a little modicum of sympathy for them because they lost a lot. I didn't need the warrant because they had already moved, but I got a full judgment against them. Their case fell apart. I knew it was going to fall apart.
Yeah, but it's still, you didn't get a full judgment.
Yeah, I got it, but I never seen the money.
No, think about it. Did you really get a full judgment? Yeah, you got the money. You got the money that's paid back. Did you get your lawyer fees?
Actually, he didn't charge me.
No, you didn't. Well, but if he did, would you have gotten those?
No, you're right. No, you wouldn't have. You know what I got? I got my
that was lost.
No, what I got is my $20 filing fee for the filing of the eviction case. In towns and villages, it's 20. In cities, it's 45. So I got my $20 filing fee back. That's what I got. You're right. And
so that's the part that irritates me. Yes. Yeah. First of all, I knock on wood. I hope that you get every single penny from that judgment and then some. I hope.
Thank you.
It's not guaranteed though, when it comes to this stuff. And this what happens down the line. And I hope that you're one of the anomalies. What happens down the line, they're going to need to apply for credit for something. They're going to need to do something. They're not going to have all the money. They're going to try to settle with you. And then at that point, you're going to say, either I'm going to take 70, 80%, if that much. At that point, let's just get it over with. Or you're going to cut your nose by your face and just wait to see if and when they actually pay off the entire debt. Yeah. Because the other, they could go and turn around and get a job off the books. They could do all kinds of different things. You'll never get paid.
Yeah. This guy's got a good job, but we have a lawyer friend who passed away a few years ago. He was such a nice man. When you first started practice, he represented this guy. He won. The guy got a judgment. He would not pay the attorney at all. The attorney said, listen, let's come to a deal. And the guy says, no way, I'm not paying you anything. Years later, that same guy wanted to buy a house, and a judgment was put on him by this attorney. He went to the attorney and said, can we work out a deal? The attorney said, yes, we can. He said, pay me everything that I sued you for, and you're going to pay poundage and interest as well. It added thousands to the bill because of it. But, Nick, you're right. That lawsuit that I have, the $300,000 lawsuit that I have against my former commercial landlord, I have against him for unlawful eviction. We know we're going to win. We offered to sell it at $121,000. They went in at like $200 or $300. They were willing to settle for $200 or $300. I mean, talking about an insult. The judge even said, "Come on." In the pre-trial conference, come on, you owe money. But we tried. But the amount of money I have paid for legal fees on that, lucky thing, my team is representing me, but I said I'm going to pay them. In that case, I'm going to pay. But I paid $5,000 just for the forensic accountant that I had to hire. $5,000, I then give her $500 more. So you're right. I may get the $300,000. That's for treble damages. But when you look at the thousands of dollars I handed out in transcript fees, lawyers' fees, research fees,
aggravation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna be
aggravation. We're not even counting that in, but you get what I'm saying.
It costs thousands of dollars for me. But I'm gonna get the 300. You're gonna laugh at me, Nick. I said I'm gonna do this, but I'm too cheap to do it. He lives on a cul-de-sac, the guy I'm suing, in an affluent neighborhood. I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be like Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. I'm going to get in the limousine with a moonroof. I'm going to have to drive around the cul-de-sac, tuning the horn, and I'm going to step out on the seat with a fan of $100 bills in my hand, and when he comes out of his house, point to the money and thank him for it. As I've never seen it. I won't do it, but it is funny, you gotta admit. $200 for the limo driver, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't do that. But I mean, that's another lawsuit. But you're right. In that case, I will see my money.
Get that on videotape. There you go. That's going to be your viral video.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. But you know what we'll do next? We'll chat off here. Because I'm thinking about, you and I can develop some topics, because this is just off the cut. We can develop some stuff for your show. Now, what time is your shows on Monday? Because I'm out till 7 at night on Mondays.
It's every Monday, 6 to 7.
Yeah, see, I'm out on Mondays.
That's what the time slot I have for.
Oh yeah, no, I know that, but we can do something else
simultaneously. But we could always do a weekly segment where we can, landlord banter, roundtable, that kind of thing. It's something that I've been kicking around, getting started up again.
Go to StreamYard. I don't know how much fun you've done with that, but you can do your own stuff without going live at all. It's called going into the studio.
Yeah.
You go into the studio, you can type in your own overlays, you can do your banner. If you pay membership, you can have your own logo in the upper corner of the screen. Mine is the Landlord Advocate logo, but you don't necessarily have to do that. Instead, you'll have the logo of StreamYard, which is a duck with headphones on. You can have that in the corner, but you can still have your check on your overlays, you can do all of that stuff. And just run your show like it's yourself. And you don't have to go live. You don't go live. You're just in the studio and play with it.
I've already started playing around with it a little bit. So that's the reason that I'm like, right now the subscription that I have with Zoom is ending. And I'm, considering just stopping a couple. I don't know. I might keep them both simultaneously for a little time, because Zoom is really nice when you're doing conference and a recording on the spot, but for the streaming, it's not great.
Yeah. And you look at what you're actually paying. I know with my level of streaming, you pay all at once. It's like $240 a year.
Yeah, it's not backbreaking.
No, it's like $20 a month. And they just had something on Black Friday where it was even less, which I should have canceled and got because I mean, it's so much.
I should have just grabbed it on Black Friday.
Yeah, it was like $10 a month. And I like it. I've only done a few that way. But I like it, but I gotta use my Stream Deck, which is like $180, $190 I paid for it. And that's 15 keys and just hit one key. The problem is that both of my wireless cams are the same make and model. So I'm having trouble with it, differentiating which camera it is. And I use what's called OBS, Open Broadcast Systems, Streamlabs.
I started to play around with that a little bit as well.
That's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Because before StreamYard now has hotkeys that you can do on your keyboard. You don't need the Stream Deck. But the problem that I had with that is that you can go in the virtual camera through OBS into StreamYard. But the Stream Deck, I was able to do it once, but for some reason it didn't work anymore. And I kept telling them at StreamYard in the town halls that they have every Sunday, which you can watch. They have StreamYard town halls. I believe it's at 9 o'clock every night our time. They're in like another time zone. And it's for half an hour and you can ask questions and whatnot. But you're going to stream it on it. They have a lot of tutorials on their YouTube page. And I watch that and I go on the live shows and I've been on them a few times. And they also have an opportunity that they have when you have a giveaway, that you can have any giveaway you want. And they just have to enter into it. And it's like a little roulette thing that goes on the screen. I just won the mascot, the duck. It's a stuffed duck. I just won one yesterday. No, Friday. I won one on Friday. I had the T-shirts and stuff. I win all the time. But anyway, I would do that next. Play around with it. Think what you want to do with that, and then we can do a live show together on that, you and I, and we can have it at least to 4 different broadcasts. Your YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, any one of those, and we'll reach more people that way.
Definitely. Yeah. So we'll definitely set it up. So anybody that's watching on the replay, I got somebody that's probably a troll, either that or they send me a porn bot link over here, Olivia Boone. It's probably one of those. So you'll probably get one of those sent to you because your link isn't here. So when you get one of those, I get those a lot.
Oh,
Um,
man.
they come in, they send links that takes you to some X-rated site and that kind of thing. But it is what it is. But we'll definitely be setting this up, I guess, in the next few weeks, maybe
Even
tomorrow.
sooner than that, even sooner than because
Yeah,
it'd be good because this was off the cuff, but we have it more structured and we publicize it more with thumbnails and whatnot. I
yeah.
think that we would have more participation, even on the live, but even on the rerun, whatever they call it, in the replays. I think we could have that. Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
one for Vitali and I had a few hundred views, a few hundred between his
So
channel
when you
and
do it
mine.
like that, that's how that goes. The few times where I really hit it hard as far as streaming and sending out all the links to the proper channels, I would have multiple hundred streaming at the same time. So that that when I was at the landlord rallies and stuff like that, I did it that way, and it worked out really well.
Yeah.
But I just need to do it more often that way and be a little bit more structured every time I do a stream. So you know, you'll rein
That's
me
what
in
we
on
did.
this.
We sent out an email blast to about 150 people. I have not put all of our landlords onto the email blast. I'm too busy doing the work that our landlords need rather than creating that. And
Of
that's
course,
where, like you said earlier, how I dedicate myself to that. If I did that, I would not do the work that people are paying me to do. I just sit here and create and create and create, but I got to do the work that people are paying me to do. But I would create an email blast. So that's what we did. And then we put a flyer up in our office when people would come in, because our office is the busiest office in our two-floor apartment, not apartment, a two-floor office building. We're the busiest office in the entire building. So many people that come in and you have a window that they come up to, and we have the poster there. We have a big poster in the waiting room for the Landlord Advocates. Subscribe on YouTube. We have that in the waiting room. So I think when we did that, I think it might invigorate both of us even more personally and professionally and social media wise. And when you invigorate more and more people, because people ask, I
I
we
mean
did
that makes
that.
absolute sense. It really does.
Yeah, yeah.
And why not? Let's try to spread the word as much as we possibly can and be as vocal as possibly can. Now, if it helps us personally, great, so be it. But at least we're putting out the word out there and making sure that people are at least knowing that they're not alone and that they have somebody that's willing to help them.
Yeah. Because yeah, we see that with tenants all the time. I get links sent to me by social media people to go and watch a tenant thing. I did it one time only out with AOC. I can't stand that woman, but AOC had a Facebook
Yeah.
roundtable, and I joined it, but I joined it anonymously. It was sent to me in the link. These tenants have them all the time, and we can't comment on them because now you remove the mask of who you are.
Well, what I'm thinking about doing is actually catching a few of these kind of sessions on replays and doing a live stream as I'm reacting to these videos and giving my 2 cents about them. So maybe I'm not part of that chat or whatever the case is. I have no problem. I don't care. I'll go in with my own name. At this point, I've gone out to tenant platforms and they've gone insane on me. I even joined this thing that's called Bad Landlords. I wanted to see what it's all about, and I would send them my landlords are humans links, and they would lose their minds.
I
And
love
then
that. Yeah, absolutely. But I
they
joined
do
one on
it to us,
social.
so why not? There's no reason why I shouldn't do that. So I'm really considering actually doing a platform where we maybe we could do this every so often on a joint stream where we just pick a video that we mutually find somewhat interesting or
Yeah,
disturbing or good or whatever the case. It doesn't all have to be bad, and kind of like watch it and dissect it as we're watching it.
yeah. Reactionary videos I hear. So I watch the YouTube content creator people that help us, and that reactionary videos are good. There was one that Sia Weaver did that I have from a few months ago, and I gotta teach myself how to do a reactionary video to stop and start. And she had one where this Asian landlord has spent 20 years getting the money up to buy his own home, and now the tenant's not paying anything, never paid anything. And he called it, I'm being robbed. This is robbery. And the reporter from The Real Deal or one of those, I forget what, I gave the guy credit, but I can't remember which one it was. But Sia Weaver, that awful tenant advocate, had said to the reporter, well, it's not robbery. It's not robbery. It's just chuckling at the time. This guy had contemplated suicide. They showed him pushing his daughter down a slide in a park playground. And he's talking about how he committed suicide. And the reporter says, no, don't do that. And see, we were chuckling about it. It's not robbery. Well, yeah, it is, you rotten. It is robbery. You are robbing. You're robbing the property from us landlords. And I want to do a reactionary video on her. That's what I want to do.
All right, that definitely sounds like a good one to do. I saw some other ones. Honestly, I've heard, there's some people that I don't know what the proper name for them are, agitators or whatever the case is. It seems that they're just looking for a reaction, and you see them come out there and they go on a full, and you could tell that they're educated. That's the thing that's scary about it. They are educated and they do know the laws, but they're going out there and just spewing a whole bunch of stuff in an educated way where they cite certain laws and that kind of thing. But if you sit there and go past the few citations of the laws and that kind of thing, whether they're bringing out, they're really talking insanity.
Yeah.
It is, and you could tell like they're trembling. They're so angry. They're such a vile, such toxic type of mindset, and you're just wondering to yourself, what made this person come to this point where they're so angry and they're trembling and they felt like they needed to make a YouTube, other than the fact that they're trying to get views and become monetized and that kind of thing. Because you can tell from the ones, there's a few of them that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and the more controversial they are, the more angry they are, the more animated they are, the more views they get. So I get what they're doing, but they should be called out on their BS.
There's a few that have done that I joined initially when I did YouTube in March of last year, when I got involved. There's a few that are real estate people that I subscribe to. Mm-hmm. And the one he discussed me so much because he puts out, what do they call them? The thumbnail, what do they call it? When you're trying to bait them with the thumbnail, what's that one that is used?
Clickbait.
Clickbait, thank you. It's clickbait that this guy had out there. And I'm like, you know what? No. He raves about himself, he loves himself. He's got over 1 million subscribers. I won't take that away from him. But like you said, Nick, he had a video up there about his awful tenant that he had. And he grabs his head. And he's like, so theatrical. And I watched the video and I'm like,
is it a young guy that you're talking about?
Yeah. His first name begins with another G as in Graham. And that name was G. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah. He's very elegant, very cocky. And he looks like he just came out of diapers a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't like that.
There's a few people from that school. And I don't hold it against them as far as them trying to be some type of personality on here. To each their own. You want to become a personality, that's your thing. Because that guy that you just talked about, he actually took his channel a lot beyond what it's all about, real estate and that kind of thing. Yeah, he took it to a different aspect. So he basically is evolving just to keep good viewership going and just hitting hot topics. And okay, it's not for me anymore. I know exactly who you talk about, and I've watched his channel many times, and as you did in the beginning of these quarantines, when I started discovering a lot of these channels,
yes,
I started to watch him along with what's his name, the other one that now decided to dye his hair every other color.
There's a taller guy with black hair. What the hell is his name? They go with each other all the time.
No, what the hell is his name right now? Not Ryan.
I know who you're talking about.
He started getting really political at one point.
Where McKinney or McCartney or something like that. Something Irish name that he has.
You know what? Right now I'm drawing a blank, and I'm sure.
Sometimes he has a goatee, a mustache goatee. Sometimes he does.
Oh, that's another guy that you're talking about. That's another guy you're talking about. The guy that I'm talking about. He started getting into talking about stocks now and crypto and investing. He can win a whole different other platform, but he's another guy just going for the outrageous right now that they're basically, the, the people they're catering to right now work for them. But the core audience that they built around in the beginning, like you and I and other people that are more real estate based, we're wandering away from that.
Yeah, I don't watch him because I'm not going to. Even though he's well monetized, most of his money is coming from YouTube. He's getting monetized, and
once you get to that point, once you get to that model and that point, then then you really need to take it seriously and make it a business.
Yeah, but Nick, don't. What I say Nick, when this guy that was speaking of Graham, is that don't brag that your money came from real estate when a lot of it came from YouTube monetization.
Well, it started from real estate.
It did,
and that's what people don't get. Like he put together a good chunk of money to get himself started, but he blew up with this whole social media content that he's doing together right now.
Right. And that's when it came. I mean, I'm not taking away from. There's no jealousy or anything here on my part with him. I'd rather be who I am than be that, even though he's got money out of the wazoo. That's not what I'm here for. Like you and I have said, any monetization that we would get, I would put back into it. I mean, if it got big, I wouldn't mind having to pay my mortgage on my house every month, $2,000 a month. I wouldn't mind that. I won't deny that. But then also with the amount of effort that we put into this, we put in far more effort than what we could ever get if we got paid. And I don't mind doing it. But like I say, I'm with you. I've seen a few on social media that I'm like, and then some of them, when I first started, when I only had 20, 30 subscribers, I wouldn't get the time of day from them. And now that I'm picking up a little bit more, I'm getting the time of day or maybe a high kind of thing. But I'm like, you know what? I remember all of my people when they had one property and some of them have 20 or 30. I don't care. I don't care if you got 50 subscribers or 50,000. Because your content is what is going to gravitate to me, not that you have numbers. Even though YouTube analytics may say the more you have, the more you'll get. I don't think the content is not, and you're right, Matt. I don't think that it is. I think it's the content that we share and the passion that we show will get people to subscribe to us and watch what we have to share.
One day maybe I'll sit there. I don't have the patience or the brain capacity to do these things. I let people do these things all the time where they take their channel and show how it gets monetized and all that. I might do that one day, just show people realistically how it works and that kind of thing. I have a little under 4,000 people on subscribers. The truth be said, a lot of them never watch. You only get a certain core that goes back and forth. And there's videos where I've had a lot of views, and those videos only make a fraction as far as monetization, as far as those that have very few views. But here's the thing, the few people that actually watched it sat through and saw the whole thing.
Yes.
And they commented on it, and they, and that matters more than actual quantity.
I agree with you.
As far as how the algorithm and all that works. But as far as the monetization and that kind of thing, this is the way I look at it. If it gets to the point where it's actually generating enough income to basically cover the cost of the channel, I'm happy. That's all I want. My business is not the YouTube thing. This is a platform for me to be able to extend myself from what I do currently, and at the same time gives me this good therapy. What we're doing right now is for me personally is good therapy. We have a good opportunity to be able to just get it off our chest and just talk, and so I look at it from that aspect. Like, people don't realize, like, I have an enormous amount of costs when I'm working with the radio station, because I pay out of pocket for my time slots from the radio station. And the other thing is, if you notice and you ever watch any of our live shows, I don't have any advertising on there, other than what they have, the general stuff at WG. Now I have the right to be able to advertise there and supplement the cost of it, but I'm being very selective as far as who I would want as a sponsor. I won't take anybody. I've got a lot of people call me up and say, I'd like to sponsor the show, that. I don't want them. First of all, you have to be somehow real estate related. That's my first part of the criteria. I don't want hemorrhoid cream commercials and stuff like that on it. So it's got to be it's got to be somehow real estate related. And the other thing is, it's got to be either a product that I can be supportive of, or looks like my calls are going to hit me soon. I was wondering why my phone didn't started going nuts up until now. It's going to happen all in clusters. But the other thing is, I have to be somehow supportive of what you are offering as far as a product or service. If I have a feeling that it's something that's not legitimate, or if it's one of these get rich quick scheme, which I get a lot of people calling me about, as far as wanting for me to, like, we buy ugly houses for cash and that kind of stuff.
That'll ruin your reputation.
And if it's something that I don't support, whatever, I'd rather pay it out of pocket. And when I get somebody that's qualified in that kind of thing, and they want to supplement me, so be it. Fortunately, I could sustain it. I could keep it going. So
when I tell people that my office, when I tell them about YouTube and my assistants tell them to go to the channel, I tell them, if I talk to them through my assistant's window, it's one of these push aside windows. If I talk to them, I'm like, listen, I have an audience of one I'm talking to you about and helping you. I'm on the phone, there's an audience of one I'm helping. I said, but when we do social media and YouTube, I said, we don't have the opportunity to reach thousands of people to help them make, not my slogan, helping landlords become better landlords. That's my slogan. And that's what we're there for. And me having an audience of one at my office, even though I enjoy it, I reach more people on social media. One of the things that we tell people when they call in, they always want the information. And I said, Michelle, to my personal assistant, Michelle, please tell them to go to the channel. The question that they're seeking are in the video. And she'll say the same thing, Matt, they don't want to sit there for 10 minutes. They want the answer now. I said, well, that's not fair that they want the answer now, and the next people calling out with them want the same answer. But they can go to the channel and we can dedicate our time to helping the people now rather than them sitting there.
Well, it's not fair that you actually have paying customers that would get tied up waiting for an answer from you when you have people just calling you up just for random, advice.
Yeah, the one I mentioned earlier, Nick, that was on one of our big groups on Facebook. He closed off commenting, and I want to be as professional as I can with this gentleman, but in the one city, like I said, we haven't done an eviction in that city in 7.5 years, and he called him, and my sister said, Matt, it's the same guy. She told me it's absolutely the same guy. He reached out to me on Messenger and asked me about how to do a process in the eviction world, and can he do it, and if so, how can he do it? Well, this is a service that my business provides. This is how I put food on the table and how you pay for your presents for your son's birthday tomorrow. This is how it happens. And when he did that, I never even answered him back. But he put a post on today asking questions regarding the situation that he had. And then he asked, does anybody know a good lawyer in the Albany area? And I was like, he denies even talking to me. But then in a message that I shared on social media today with him, was that he even referenced a conversation regarding our conversation the last time. So he even admitted, and in that's the one where he had said, can I help him without having to hire me? And I was like, no. And he denied all of that. And I'm going off a little bit, but it was like,
that's a problem. That's a problem that happens all across the board. I get that all the time. I get people always coming to me, wanting to pick my brain. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? I discovered this property. Well, I put an offer on a property. Why don't you put the offer with me? Well, I need you to help me analyze it now. Well, are you hiring me? No, I just want you to analyze it. Just because, you have all the time in the world to sit there and focus on my property that you're not going to get paid for. I mean, the worst thing of all is people that I personally know, or contacts, or friends that do that more than anybody else. That you know how that goes. But
I'm in you now. That's what we've had. And like one of my team members, Joe, said that he says, the commodity that I sell is the information that I know. And he said,
it goes with us.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick, it's us. And people will say, well, it's only a piece of paper. And Joe will say, yes, it's only a piece of paper, but what I put on that piece of paper is very valuable. And we've had that happen. We have one that wanted a lease from us, and we have a damn good lease, as I'm sure you do. We have a damn good lease. Well, I said to them, I said, well, I can't give you that lease because it's proprietary, but we can if you want to pay our attorney the $300. I'm not paying that. I said, so you want me to sell you the lease for $5 when our attorney drew this up? Our attorneys drew it up for us. I said,
Because
I'm
there's
not going to do that.
staples outside of your building, right?
Yeah, right.
You can buy like ready forms, right?
You know it, Nick. And I'm like, no, we can't do that. And that's why look, this guy that I remember is local. And he actually called me a tenant advocate on this on our group. And you know what group it is. What state are we in? You know now you know what group it is. And he called me he called me a tenant advocate. Now, one of the other ones I can see here, she messaged me. I'm gonna reach out and I reach out to the other administrators about possibly removing him from the group. That is not something that I'm not gonna do. That you and I both said we can disagree completely, but we can go to have dinner with the person later on. But this person here to attack me because I mentioned to him, well, you know what, we talked on the phone. No, I never talked to you, but then I show him proof that he did talk to me and he did not. So we're talking about possibly removing him from the group. Because to call me and that, well, maybe I had the tenants call you because you're not for us, you're for tenants. Really? My assistant, who I chat with on the weekend, said, Matt, are you serious? I said, yeah.
I've had a lot of backlash as well. We sell properties. That's our primary thing that we're doing, other than managing the properties. We're the problem. It's us that are hiking up the prices of the properties and selling them at higher multiples and that kind of. It's not the fact that the international money came in for years. It was willing to pay overinflated prices, and the sellers were loving the hell out of that. It wasn't us that were going out to China and Russia and Israel and any other place that we're coming from and plucking them from there and say, I have this 6-family house to sell you, or this mixed-use property, or this 30-unit building, just for you. Get out of Dubai, come and buy this here. This is what they don't get. It wasn't us that was changing the thing. It was the market. It was the buyers that were willing to pay everything. And just like anything else, if you're the seller, just flip yourself on the other side. I feel for you as a buyer that you're not getting any good opportunities. But if you were selling the property and somebody was telling you you could sell this for $1 million, and say, you know what, I don't feel right about it. I think it's too much. I think I'm only going to charge $600,000 for it.
Yes.
Would you do that? And people tell me it's not the same. Well, yeah, it is the same.
It absolutely is the same. Yes.
It is the same. The only reason you're upset is because right now you're being locked out of an opportunity because people are outbidding you.
Yeah, we hear that all the time.
And here's the funny thing. When 2008, 2009, we got hit with the financial crisis, and I was telling the same exact people, buy now that they're cheap. And I was buying, and I was telling everybody, buy whatever you can now, because I assure you, these 40 and 50% drops are not going to last for very long.
That's right.
No, they're going to drop more. They're going to drop more. Or, no way I'm touching it now. They're just going to keep dropping and I'm going to lose all my money. This is what people say. And then all of a sudden we go back on the swing up high. And then they're telling you, well, now it's your fault that the prices are going up. But when I was telling you buy when they were low, you don't want to buy. You don't want to take the risk. These are the kind of mindsets that you have a lot of people that are, they're coming in, and it's almost comical sometimes, but it is what it is. So I got a lot of backlash from a lot of people. A lot of people told me that it's my fault, people like me fault, you people, real estate agents,
It's funny when you mention that, Nick, because 2 days ago, there's 2 guys I know, we helped them out with a situation, but they're very, very cocky. And they have they sell houses, they fix them up. I don't like the way the houses look. They look too garage-like. I just don't like them. But anyway, they posted a house for sale. It's not finished. They even admit that it's not finished. They put the price up of $390,000 for this house. And you look at the photos, you look at the size, you look at no bathroom pictures, you look at all of this. And I said, well, at that price, I should be able to get maybe $600,000 for my house. Other people that commented already about they were asking way too much. Railroad tracks on each side of the house, they're asking way too much. Well, anyway, I commented about my house. Well, one of the guys that commented, yeah, I doubt highly you're going to get $600,000 for your house. Now, he's never been to my home. He's never seen the inside of my home. So what I did next is I went through and I listed all the amenities that come in my house. I have a 5-car drive-in basement. I have a 3-car, 2-level garage that I have. My driveway is 20 cars end to end in my driveway. I have 18-foot ceilings. It's 3,500 square feet. It's a big, big house I have here. My dining room's got 15-foot ceilings. So anyway, I went on, and that's not how I am. I don't care what you own. I don't care what your education is. I like you for who you are. You just pay your bills. I like you. That's all I care about. But anyway, Nick, he drew it out of me, and I went through it. I listed. It was long of all the amenities that I have. And I said at the very end, I said, Nick, maybe you might want to change your perception at my house. I can't get $600,000 for my house. Because it's so much bigger. This house at the cellar has 1,200 square foot ranch. It's got a 2-car garage in that 1,200 square foot. No basement.
I don't know why you even bother. Why you let people get to you and actually feed into that? I don't know. Stuff like that. I really don't even.
You know what it is, Nick? These 2 people that I referenced, we helped them out in court. It was a really bad case that made the news here in our area. It's a bad case. But anyway, we helped them out, and we advised them that they should not go to court by themselves. They should not go pro se. They should have no, we're going to do it ourselves. They're young whippersnappers. Well, they lost in court. They lost. And the basis by which they lost, they said, it should have never happened. It was the town judge. I said, you should not have lost this case. Our attorneys looked over the decision from the court and said that none of this is factual. You should not have lost. But anyway, they did. And so it's kind of like they bounce around to different firms to have them get help next, and they're actually burning their bridges. So you're right. But sometimes, it's therapeutic for me.
All right. If it actually gives you some therapy, that's okay then.
Right,
me, I don't honestly. The stuff that I hear from people. I've gotten people from the groups that I'm not going to name names and I'm not going to make it, but they turn it into we're all advocating for things. We're all doing whatever we can. Yes, we all run our own businesses or whatever the case is, or some people are full-time landlords, and then that's what their occupation is. And some of the people come in with special interests that they want me to kind of push things to get people to subscribe to their services or pay for certain products or whatever the case. I'm not for that. If I'm into a product and you tell me about it, like let's say you want to talk about your product, or let's say you want to talk about your services. I have no problem putting you on. We'll talk about it and that kind of thing. And what you provide, this is not because I have you on the stream with me. It's a valuable service, and it's needed. It's needed, just like you need an attorney, just like you need this. You just need just like you need to have a log of everything you deal with tenants. That's all part of the things you need. And if you do the right thing, you just continue to grow with it. But there's other people, they come up with these platforms and these applications and these different things, and sometimes I look at them and I'll give it a test and that kind of thing. I'm not for it. It just doesn't either glitchy or that kind of thing. I'm like, listen, I'm not really comfortable pushing something that's still buggy right now. Unless you want me to go there and review it for somebody and actually review it online and tell people that the concept is nice or looks nice, but there's still a lot of bugs. So don't buy it until they get the bugs out or something like that. They don't like that stuff. So I'm like, I don't want to be involved in that. Or like I've been pointed out that I have my own personal agenda. Well, yes, I have my personal agenda. My personal agenda is one, to get a damn equality for landlords, because that's my selfish thing. I'm a landlord. I'm a housing provider, just like everybody else. So that is my. It's not like most of the people I'm talking to are not in my territory. You're not in my territory. Most of the people that I'm online with, that I'm dealing with, they're not from my region. It's not as if I'm going to get business from them down the line, and I'm
Right.
trying to like sell their properties and that kind of thing. Like they don't get that concept. But I'm trying to be at least another cog, or at least another component of people that are trying to unify in a way where we could actually get some equal rights.
Right.
It's
I'm the
going to
same way.
it's going to benefit me.
Right.
That's my thing. And if somebody wants to sell the property with me down the line, so be it. Great. Thank you very much. That's an extra thing, but it's not
And
like
that's why we do, you and I and others do what we do, because we could not. Now, have I picked up clients off of social media? Yes, I have. I don't solicit them. I don't go on any of them. If anything, if somebody has a question on one of the social media groups, I'll send them a link to a particular video. If it's about good cause eviction, if it's about cash for keys, if it's a question about, watch this video, this should help you. I don't make any money on that, neither do you. But if you're a local person and you come to me and you hit me up on social media and you need my help, yeah, I'm going to expect you to hire me. If you're not going to hire me, then you can get the same thing that everybody else gets on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all of that, Reddit. You'll get the same thing. But if you are a potential client that I can make money off of, then yes, I'm not going to give you that one-on-one audience when you are in my geographic area of coverage.
honestly, 99 times out of 100, somebody that calls me up through social media or from YouTube or something that's even in my area that would want me to help them with the services, they usually want me to do it for little to no money or free. So I'd rather not, to be quite honest with you. So have I gotten some business from these platforms? A little bit, a little bit. Can't say that it's something that is that great of a percentage of my business that I would commit to it 100% to just push this to just make this a lead generator. It's not my thing. I'm one of these old school type of real estate guys that I'd rather have a small circle of clients, good quality clients that I work with, and over again, especially in the commercial and the multifamily business, there's a constantly new business being done. I'd rather work with them, and I don't have to be a billionaire. I'm very happy doing the business I do with a few quality people, and that's it. I'm happy with that. I don't need to have the YouTube sensation kind of a situation happening, and people don't really understand that. Well, don't you want to sell this for me, or don't you want to lease this for me? I just told you in the beginning of the stream, I completely cut off doing any kind of services for rentals. I don't do them anymore, unless it's our own personal properties that we're renting out, or if it's managed properties that we're managing. I'm not taking on any new clients as far as renting out their spaces. It's just too much liability, too much of a headache, and I don't need it. I really don't. The amount of financial gain compared to the amount of liability and the stress that we're going to deal with. There's so many restrictions right now
Oh my God!
that
Yes.
we're dealing with.
I have one of my team members does all of that. She does the leasing and the tenant placement. I don't get into it.
You could lose your license like this. If I turn around and say something, if somebody comes to me and they're a scumbag, and they basically want to get over the landlord and do the same thing to the next landlord, they want me to help them find a new space, and they're doing that, and I say no to them. I could be turned around and I'm discriminating against them because I don't want to help them out. I'd rather not deal with anybody when it comes to that, and that's it.
I am blaming her. My girl that does that, she's a dear friend of mine. She's the one that's her own independent business. Even though she's a part of my team, she does all of that. I don't even bother. I'm when you mentioned earlier about pricing, we have a local competitor. This is one of the people in my big lawsuit. Some people think that it's an old location where I used to be, and now people have taken over that location and made it out that I'm still there. So that's part of the lawsuit. But people have gone there, and then they're looking for me, and then they're finding out that I'm, 2 blocks away. And they're, oh no, that's where Matt is. That's where you gotta go. Matt's the guy. Matt's always been the guy. Well, anyway, now he went to this other location and spent well over $400 more for what we would have done for him. So he came to us and we gave him our price. He did a predicate notice, one notice, and then charged him over $300. I said, it's $85 with us. With one name, it's 85. So he did $270 in the same house. So he said to me, he says, well, can you give me a discount? And I was very polite, I was very professional. But I said to him, I said, my competitor would have charged you well over $400 more than what we're charging you now, and yet you're asking for a discount. I said, don't you think we gave you a pretty big discount as it is? And that is where I think you and I may I speak for you, I think that's where you and I will have a problem, is that we provide such a great service for the years that we've been doing it, you and I, in our respective fields, that when somebody comes along and wants something for such a drastically reduced price, on top of what you and I do on social media for free, and at a cost for us, can somewhat be a little disconcerting and actually insulting when people do that.
Well, I also look at it like this. I think I've paid my dues. You know, I ran for pennies for many years. That's how I started with, and I don't have any regrets doing that. I had to work under other people. I had to basically scrounge and hustle and do whatever I had to do in order to try to build a book of business together. And a lot of times I got paid very minimal. A lot of times I actually took losses just to put myself in a position where I am right now. So I feel it's not a sense of arrogance. It's not a sense of me feeling I'm beyond that. It's just a question of I've paid my dues, and I'd rather have good, selective clientele that appreciate what I could offer them, and at the same time, I appreciate them as well.
Yeah. And I agree with you, my friends. I feel the same way. My clients come in, hugs, kisses. They bring me in gifts. I love my people. I care about them. Don't get me wrong. And I do have a lot of them. Some I haven't seen in years. And then they call up. They love the fact that I can remember things from 10, 15 years ago. And that they're not, because then they know that I remember. But there was one I wanted to tell you, unless I'm trying to thought on the one about clients. And I can't remember now what I was going to mention. He was saying about, I can't remember what it was now. I apologize. But I've had some great clients along the way but when they turn around and sometimes they get a little out of hand, I let them know, listen, I said, I care more about you than you care about you. I met landlords recently who were coming in who are losing money hand over fist. And I tell them, what did I tell you 20 years ago? When you were letting your tenants go $10,000, $7,000 behind your rent, I told you to stop doing that. But because your pockets were loaded with money, you did not care. I said, now your pockets are empty and your tenants are your $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in rent, and now you're suffering. I said, next time you're going to listen to me, aren't you? Yes, Matt, I'm going to listen. I said, yes. I said, because at the end of the day, I'm sleeping well. I'm not the one that's owed the money, you are. But I always let them know that. I said, the money that they owe you, they owe us. I said, I feel like they owe me the money as well. And when you take ownership of their problem, as you will do with your clients, they tend to gravitate to you more when you take ownership and that you care. I had one who had called and they thought that I was at the other location where that stuff was happening. And they said, well, what games are you playing? What games are you guys playing? And I said, you're going to wait 1 minute right now. And I hacked on my computer and I went through a litany of names of people she's evicted over the years. And I said, do you remember this one? And she says, yes, I do. I said, yes, I do. I said, now I want you to call the other people and ask them these same names and see if they know who they are. And she's like, I now realize what's been going on. I thought all along that they own the company. It was you that own the company. And it's not them that did the work for me. It was always you. We had mutual space in a big storefront there, and we all did different businesses, but we all helped each other in our businesses. We all had the same first name, so that if you called on the multiple phones that we had, we would answer that by that first name. And then you were thinking that you were getting us. We would ascertain your situation and put you on with the person.
Whoever is the right person to, yeah.
Right. But it made us all look better. There was like 5 businesses, and it
Yeah.
all made us look bigger. Well, when the person who owned the building saw how my business was flourishing, I'm buying properties, vehicles, cruises, I'm working my ass off to get that, he decided to say, okay, you're no longer here. And I was served a notice on a Sunday to move out and change the lots a week later. And people were going and looking for me. I found out, Nick, and one day I found out I was retired, I was on vacation, and I died. I learned that all in one day. So I won't get into it because that's not the platform of our show is here, but that was part of the stuff that I've had to deal with over the last few years. So having to win back my clients who did not know and still do the live show or do the YouTube channels, that's what started all of this. There's the COVID stuff and that. So actually, it was a blessing for me, all of these things. Because I met good people. I've learned a lot more in the years I've been doing this. And like I said, you don't have regrets, and neither do I. I don't have regrets.
That's the only way to be. Just move forward. Like I said before, you need to take everything that happens as a lesson, and if it's something that's positive, keep going with it. And if it's something that is negative, then you need to make sure that you don't repeat it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that being said, I just realized that we've been streaming. You want to know how long we've been streaming? Almost 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
Almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I think this was a very good experiment. And I think we're going to be doing something relatively soon as far as getting ourselves doing some kind of collaboration, maybe a weekly thing collaboration or something that's going to be consistent going forward.
And we can use the StreamYard. We can, have a different time, and we don't look at when our audience will be there. We can limit it down because I've done 4-hour shows anyway. We have to limit it down to maybe an hour, and then people know we're not leaving you forever. We're just leaving you tonight, but we'll be back again. Say, because they showed me on these YouTube content creator platforms that the people that don't understand, you can't stick around the whole night. You can't answer every single question that comes through. Because sometimes when that screen goes up on StreamYard, it's comments and questions, and that thing can roll like the wheel on Wheel of Fortune and Price is Right. And sometimes you can't get to them all. And they say you have to let people know you can't get to them all.
It depends on the kind of message you're going to try to put out. If you're trying to do something that's a marathon, or you have a ton of people that are on there that's going to make it like an event kind of thing, then you could do one of those longer streams, that kind of thing. But if it's something that's going to be a consistent type of series of shows, you want to keep it as tight as possible, and then you continue the following session.
And they've actually said that when you do it consistently, more people know to come because they know. And then I love the set reminders. I see that a lot on YouTube.
If you have true intentions of wanting to grow the channel to bring it to the next place, and you ever want to pick my brain as far as things to do, believe me, I at one point I was really, really diligent as far as doing whatever I have to do. I mean, don't look at the way I have dropped off for the past few months and not putting a lot of content on there. But like I said, at one point I was right around 6,000 people that were subscribing, and I was growing. I was growing. This was well before COVID and all that stuff was happening. So I learned how to be able to work with the algorithms to the best point if possible and get the best type of viewership. So if there's anything I could do to help you as far as trying to grow your channel, you please let me know, because
we'll work together, Nick. It's about helping us and helping the landlords. It's not about you helping me helping you. It's about us working together and help everybody else, my friend.
For me personally, I'm content with like 50, 100 people that are consistently watching all the time, because I might have a bunch of people subscribe, but I guarantee you it's not more than 50, 100 people that are watching it every time.
But they actually said, YouTube says more people watch the videos who do not subscribe. We have more people watching our videos that don't subscribe than do.
Correct.
And then you can get them to subscribe if our content is interesting to them. And the one thing that they've said, and we are examples of this, don't make it self-serving. Don't make it look like we've said about some of these other people that we mentioned. I think it's a McKinnon guy, but they make it about them. And when you make it about you, go to hell. I don't have nothing to do with you. I want you to educate me and help me to make a decision that I don't make a bad decision later on. And that's what we do. That's what we do.
That's why we don't dye our hair purple and yellow and all that. Now look at my beard. Like my beard was actually a nice black hue right before this whole eviction moratorium started.
Really?
Yeah, these are all, I got all these grays in these past 2 years. You know?
I shave it down. I get my hair cut every so often. I'm balding on top.
And I'm thinning. You can say,
oh, you got more than me, so shut up.
Well, at this moment, I went from having a full head to starting to thin.
Oh, I shave every day, but you can't tell.
But at least you make it work, you know.
I'm 53.
So you got a few years on me. By the time I'm 53, I'm probably gonna look like you. So that's how it works.
You look good, Nick. You look good, man. No, that's me. We'll get together again. 44 years, so I'm 78 years on you. But we'll get together. I'm gonna go have my /lunch dinner that you're gonna have. But we'll talk off that because we're friends off of this too.
Yeah.
We'll collaborate. We'll think of a thumbnail. We'll think about the topics that we can talk about and make it more structured. Yeah. And then we'll publicize it through email or whatever, and we'll have a good show.
And if there's anything you want to promote or tell anybody that's possibly watching now or on the replay, as far as upcoming stuff that's coming on your channel, please take a moment and plug anything.
I know that there's other topics I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the value of leases. Because one of the things I've seen that a lot of people will do, and you mentioned earlier that Staples and all of them, they'll go and buy a 25-page lease and think that it's fantastic. I've seen leases that are 2 pages long that are more valuable than a 25-page lease. Mm-hmm. They buy them, and then sometimes you'll notice too, they don't even read the damn things. And then they bring them to me to do the eviction, and I'm like, you don't even know. Yeah, I said, no, you don't. I said, this lease is terrible. We had one, and that's, I'll end on this. We had one where a local landlord group generated their own lease for their members. And I looked at the lease, and they didn't ask me because the local landlord group was actually run by a tenant, not a landlord. It's run by a tenant. And they didn't consult with me because she sees me more as a threat rather than an ally. We don't know why, but she does. Anyway, she's also 80 years old, so that might be. Anyway, Nick, they generated their own lease. And I said, this is terrible. I said, don't advocate for me, please. Back when all we had to do was a 30-day notice to terminate the lease and to terminate the tenancy for reasons other than non-payment. You remember it's just 30 days. When they changed it to 30, 60, 90, this lease prior to that said that the landlord had to give the tenant a minimum of a 60-day notice to terminate the lease. And I said to the landlords who brought it to me, I was fuming. I wasn't going to the next meeting to throw chairs. I said, why would you generate a lease that doubles the requirement of the law for us to get rid of tenants? Why would you do that? And Nick, they still have that lease. They still have it. I said, why would you do that? This is stupid.
Well, now at least it applies.
Yeah, it does to a degree, you're right. And
at least I caught up with it, but
yeah, but yes, it does. But if you have a month-to-month lease, and they make it a month-to-month lease, and they're done less than a year, this lease says you have to give 60 days when in fact you only now do 30. But but that's going to be a part of the topic that I have.
I'll do you one better. How many times have you ran across somebody that's been giving out stabilized and rent control leases to free market apartments?
That I haven't seen because we don't have that in our area.
Well, I've seen it.
It's coming though. Albany has it.
Blows my mind. Yeah. Blows my mind completely. Like, why would you give somebody a rent stabilization lease or a rent control lease for a free market apartment?
Very good. Yeah. Why?
Well, that's what I had.
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah. And they're not reading them. or it allows them to do things in an eviction arena that is completely against the law. I'm seeing this is where if you don't see the tenant for a week, they vacated the apartment. No, this big thing is this abandonment. We're going to talk about that in the structured video, you and I. We're not going to share anything with everybody now. The abandonment. That's the big thing that they're talking about. And I tell them at least, you can't have 1 week that they're abandoned. They can be in rehab. They can be in the hospital. They can be on vacation.
Exactly.
They have this on there now, and you can't have this in here. And then they debate and argue with you. But what you and I will do is we're not going to share anything with all of you people watching right now. You're not getting everything in one video. Nick and I are going to get together and we're going to structure some videos along the line. And we're going to talk about topics that all of you can learn from us. And we're going to let you know what we're going to talk about ahead of time so you can come on with your questions, your answers, your concerns. And Nick and I are going to address that for you in a later video and later videos.
I think it's going to be a great collaboration between the landlord advocates and the real estate plate. I think we're going to have a really, really good platform that I think people are going to enjoy, because I think both of us could get animated at certain times. And I think when we get into it, I think we're going to make it at least not only informative, but it's going to be entertaining as well.
Yeah, well,
at least we're going to entertain ourselves. So that
absolutely. Well, we've had on the live stream and the stream, you're going to find that that's really popular. We're going to have 40, 50 people watching. And I usually like to broadcast and let them know about a week beforehand. And then they set the reminders and then the Facebook and all of that. And the comments come through. Because I don't know if you've ever been on a StreamYard live show where you can see the comments and all of that. But when you do, you have. Mm-hmm. And they're great. It'll work out great. You're on the free platform, right? On StreamYard, you're on the free one?
At the moment. But even on the free platform, you can still make the comments show up.
Oh, yeah. But what I'm saying, with the free one, you can get the one destination. I can get the three, so we can have 4 destinations at the same time.
I'm thinking about just amping it up, bringing it to that middle program. I don't think I need the one that's the top level right now.
No, that's
but if I needed it, I'll just upgrade it at that point.
I think if you went with a 1 and the 3 here, we have 4. But if you wanted to do that, like NY Landlords, I do NY Landlords only, and my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. We don't need it to be broadcast twice to the landlords only. It could be other channels that you're a member of that might have a higher level of participation than I may have.
See, probably I'd hit the YouTube, Facebook Live, and I'd probably hit LinkedIn, which I have a very big platform on.
See, I don't have LinkedIn. I'm LinkedIn, but I don't have LinkedIn Live. So you've already been approved for LinkedIn Live?
That actually might be my biggest platform. I have everything on LinkedIn.
So that's good, because to be able to do live shows on LinkedIn is a nightmare. So you already had that. Now, with the Facebook Live, in order to do that on StreamYard, you have to be an administrator of the Facebook group. So that's what you got to be careful of. If you're not an administrator, they won't allow you to broadcast live unless it's your own Facebook page.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. The good thing is it's my page, so I'm the admin. Nothing's gonna end that. And then the great thing about that is you stream it onto your page, and later on, if you choose to, you could always share it to all the groups.
Yes. And that's a good idea. But what we do with that, and that was what I did that last time in the 4-hour show, is that something that you and we have to do it ourselves.
You could do it actually, even if you're streaming to your page, or if you put it in an event. We could do a dual event if we choose to through our pages, and put the link there, and then we can actually take that link while we're streaming and send it over to the pages. The other groups. So
that's a good idea. I gotta see how to do that.
You could be streaming directly to your page, even that's who you admin, because you might not be able to do it to all the other ones. However, while you're doing that live, as I did that with a couple things while we're on here, I as we're speaking, I could actually go share, grab the link, go to the groups, and just plug them in.
Wow!
One place.
Wow!
And then, yes, they're not seeing it pop up live, but if they click on the actual thumbnail or the link, it'll take them to the live feed at that moment.
So that's good. I'm an administrator on around 8 different groups on YouTube or on Facebook. So I hop onto the biggest ones that have membership, but I might cut one out and do my own channel itself, and then the YouTube. But that's the nice thing now that Teams is there. So if you happen to do right now, you do the woman. If you get the 3 and I get the 3, we will be broadcasting live to 6 locations at the same time.
See, anything that I would be streaming live, let's say it's from coming from my channel or from any other platform, I'd probably be streaming it there. Anything that's directly affiliated or linked to me, just to avoid conflicts than anything else. Like if I wanted to, because I'm an admin on New York Landlords, for example, I don't want to stream live on there and basically make it look like it's all about me kind of a thing. I'll share the link with them, and if you choose to be part of it, great. If it's a landlord rally or something like that we're doing it live on, so yeah, no problem. We'll put the link on, you can stream live. But if it's something of more of a talk show kind of a situation, or something that we're doing informative, or something that's coming from our channel, I'd rather go straight to my platform, and then I'll share the link. And anybody that wants to see it on the group, they'll see the link that's shared onto the group page and the post, and they're done.
I wouldn't do the same thing because some of the groups I'm an administrator on, they're not, maybe real estate, landlord, tenant, finding
If
tenants.
it's dependent on you for content, then you got to stream it.
Yeah, and that's why landlords only. They were not, and I when I do my YouTube stuff, I send it out to around 18 to 20 different Facebook groups and Twitter and LinkedIn to get it out there. But when it comes to the live shows, I only have 3, and obviously YouTube is number 1, and then I do the New York Landlords and Landlords Only, because they're the largest groups, and they're the ones I'm a big administrator on, so they do rely on that for that. But there's other ones I'm a member of that, an administrator of that might have 800 or 900 members, and I may send it over that way. But right now, like I say, I'm only doing 3, and I want to maximize the viewership.
See, unless it's something that is, like, for me personally, I just don't have the bandwidth to be able to deal with putting live posts to every single channel I'm an admin. A lot of people made me admins on a lot of channels, and I'll step in where they need me to step in to like make adjustment or admit somebody on there and that kind of thing. But I don't have the time and the basically bandwidth to stretch myself in so many places. I'm putting links everywhere and that kind of thing. So I just rather send it to one place.
Well, with StreamYard, you're on theirs, you're not on yours. What I'm doing that with mine is I have, you can see it here, I have the Ethernet cable plugged into the back. I don't need to. I've got 3 of the router mesh systems in the house. I have a gaming laptop that I use as I don't need this, but I have it on all the time. Just because I have it, I don't need to. But it just, because they always say if you don't have it plugged in directly, your Ethernet cable, if you're doing a live show, you end up losing the connection because
I didn't mean bandwidth as far as the internet signal. I meant the bandwidth of me personally, my personal bandwidth.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
My personal bandwidth. I'm stretched so many different places that I just can't. I really can't focus on all these groups. So, like I said, I keep it simple, stupid for myself. As much as possible, send it to one place, and then from there, just
I'm doing the same thing. Even though I send it to a lot of the groups, I can't put myself on notification for all those.
The way you do it is much better. The way you do it is much better and more correct if you want to really expand yourself and actually create a better presence. It is a better thing to do. For me personally, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just that my nerves are shot at this point.
You're only 44. When you get to my age, you're 53.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. My nerves are shot right now with this whole situation and that kind of thing. And my patience levels to be able to do all this stuff has thinned out a lot. I was a lot more patient a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm more angrier now.
Yeah.
I might be saying that, but they understand my anger and frustration. And it's not, honestly, I'm surviving, but I mean, I didn't set aside money to survive for 2 or 3 years with very little income coming in. I did not do that. But still, nonetheless, my anger and frustration is what the government is doing to us. The fact that tenants are, telling us to F off. That's where my anger and frustration comes in. And I did a lot of that in my job. And I also did it on social media when people share their stories with me. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just such effing.
I don't even know if I could say I'm angry anymore. I think I'm past being angry. I'm just disillusioned. I'm really disillusioned. It feels like damned if you do, damned if you do or don't with some of these scenarios. And you just do what you have to do. If I was starting out 18-year-old today, I could assure you, I would not be if I wasn't tied in with wives and kids and whatever I built up till this point is locked in here. If it wasn't for that, I would not be living in New York. New York would not be.
I have houses in the business. I agree with you. I'd be Ron DeSantis as lieutenant governor.
I don't know where the answer would be. It could be Florida, it could be Texas, it could be Alabama for all I know. It could be Alaska. But I could assure you, New York wouldn't be my choice.
No, not with what they've done to us. I agree with you. But being born and
Jersey
raised
wouldn't be my choice either, though, too. They're not that far.
Where I live, as you might be able to see behind me, is trees. I don't know if you can see that. That's my backyard. That's my side yard. I have 5 acres here. I have a barn. I have a lot of stuff. And it's peace and quiet. I have deer that come up to my windows. I have wildlife. But I'm only 8-minute drive to my office, to the city. And I tell people, and I'll be honest with you, there are times I don't even want to leave my house. I love being home. It's an Adirondack home. My whole house is Adirondack. And I love it here. But I go to my office, and I gotta tell you, even in my own suite, I have drapes on the windows. I keep them shut all the time. I keep them shut because all I see is buildings. I don't want to see that anymore. Because you're right, I become disillusioned. I become dismayed about what's going on. I don't even want to see the buildings. I have my TV on in the office, and I play my Christmas music. I play something that a travel channel. I watch that. I have the salt lamps in there. I have good music playing because I think to myself, is this really real? Is this really real? That's what's going on to us? Is it real?
Remember that show, Ripley's Believe It or Not? This is it. We're an episode right now.
Yeah, and that's what we are. It's like listening to the Twilight Zone. It's like, it's awful. But we're gonna get together. I know my dinner's sitting in there. I'm having leftover filet mignon.
Go have your dinner. I need to follow up some calls right now. And
it's been great, my friend. We're gonna get together and we're gonna do a show like within a week or so. We absolutely have to.
We'll definitely touch base during the week.
You got it. Yeah, take care, my friend.
I appreciate you hopping on.
Oh, have absolutely. You too. Bye-bye. That's a nice guy.